experience to 10 years of experience in the classroom. So I'm trying to explain to you just kind of where our point of view comes from, because we could have a session where we just push all the buttons, and that's fine. But I really want to show you how you could maybe make learning a little bit better with this thing. That's for the first 2 hours. And the last hour of the session is some things in Smart Notebook or Smart Learning Online Suite, whatever they're calling it these days, and some good features in here. It won't be a comprehensive training about Smart, but hopefully show you some of the things that maybe you don't know about and you're not using quite yet. Sound good?
Okay.
Great. First things first, if you haven't already done this, please join me at this URL on your computer. So this is a shared Google Slides deck, and you all have edit permissions to this deck, because at some point you're going to be editing this deck and adding information to it when we do our station rotation activity. So I'm going to kindly ask you to refrain from making edits until we get to that portion of the training. Sound good? And this is for you. We'll host this for a year, so you'll have it. Does anyone need another moment to go here? It says spring forward and today's date. tinyurl.com and spring forward and today's date. So just give me a friendly wave when you have this up on your screen so I know you're there. And if you are having trouble, the universal sign for I need help is this. Nobody? All right, you're good. Never met such an enthusiastic crowd. Can you keep the noise down?
Did we keep it like in this view?
Either way is fine.
What's the other thing? The present?
Yeah, you can present if you want. It's up to you. So, once you get here on slide 2, there is a sign-in link. If you're not in presentation view and you click on it, you'll see the link show up below. Please, if you haven't already done that, please sign in. As I mentioned earlier, this will bring you to a SurveyMonkey link. It looks just like this. And once you click the done button, you're done, and you can avoid all of SurveyMonkey's guilt tripping to try to get you to sign up for their service. All right, so you're taking care of sign-in. I'm going to move ahead a little bit. So we're going to do an icebreaker now. It's called spectrogram. Has anyone ever played spectrogram before? Okay, ready? Everyone please stand up. Spectrogram is an easy game to play. Here's how it works. This wall represents strongly agree, and that wall represents strongly disagree. And there's the whole spectrum in between. The middle would be neutral. I neither agree nor disagree. So you're going to stand according to the way you feel about every statement. Let's try a practice statement. Ready? Chocolate is the best flavor of ice cream.
Which is strongly agree?
Strongly agrees over there. Strongly disagree is there. Neutral is right on the center. If you kind of agree, you could be here. If you kind of disagree, you're here. Okay, so you love chocolate ice cream.
Yes.
That's the best flavor.
Yes.
Cool. These guys are like, chocolate, okay, maybe. You're a little over to the disagree side. You're like, chocolate's fine, but there's better flavors. You guys are like, nah, absolutely not. There's definitely other better ones, and chocolate's like not even up there. We got this right? We're ready? Okay, cool, let's play. First question, I get excited to try new things in the classroom. Whoever said it was warm in here is not wrong. 75.5. 75.5.
Do we have to call maintenance to adjust that?
I'm gonna try first to open the windows.
If you have like a heavy rock.
I can call Denise.
That's it.
Denise, what one?
All right, I get excited to try new things in the classroom. So, Bob, right?
Yes.
So you get excited to try new things in the classroom. You're not always doing it, but you like to do it. What are some, you're the director of technology now, but I assume you were a teacher before.
Nope.
Oh, really? What would you do before?
I worked in healthcare,
Cool.
and then I was in textiles, and then I was in software development. I've been in education now for 2 years.
Amazing.
So,
So what do you mean when you say you get excited to try new things? What's that in your context?
I get excited when I talk with my team, or I talk with the coaches, or I talk with curriculum about new things we can give to the teachers to try in the classroom, such as the smart board, such as interactive technology, such as the touch screen, such as new laptops, such as things we're giving the children. So it's a different perspective, but it's still cool things I want the teachers to try in the classroom. I'm not personally doing it, but I'm helping facilitate things for the teachers.
That's awesome. So you're like me, you like to geek out over hardware and software, and so do I. I've been a nerd for a really long time. I've been building computers since the age of 14, so I had braces in my 30s. I told you I taught science. Been a nerd a long time, I own it. So yeah, I love things about new hardware, new toys, but hopefully new things that make the learning experience better. I see you're standing like kind of on the agree side, right? So talk to me about why you didn't like end up all the way over there, or all the way over there. Oh, what's your name?
Kevin.
Josh.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Kevin.
Because new things can take time to learn and implement can be difficult. Not just the same routine.
Fair enough, right? Not every new thing is great.
True.
I mean, just because it's new doesn't mean it's good. New Coke, people didn't like that. A little more on the disagree side, huh?
Yeah, I think it's because I'm so much number two, like I'm such a type A personality that I don't like I'm afraid if I try something new that I won't like it or it won't work.
Things
But,
should not disturb the order of the way things are supposed to be. Totally get it.
So that's why, yeah.
Yeah. There aren't wrong answers or right answers here. I'm just trying to get a feel for the crowd, okay? How you feel about things. Number two, my classroom is highly organized. And you can take that to mean whatever that means to you. Because there's different ways to interpret that. My classroom, and if you're not in a classroom, whatever your context is, my office, my desk, my daily routine, whatever you want. Okay, this is why spectrogram is such a cool activity, because we're really spread out over here. So, I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Sue.
So you're right in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So Sue, why is it that you wouldn't say you're really highly organized, but you wouldn't say you're not highly organized? Why?
I like labels, I like things like that, but there are certain things that are out of your control that you cannot keep organized right now. So, sometimes when you're in the depths of taking something apart, things are messy. You have a lot of things going around, but then when things slow down, then you just regroup and be organized.
Wow. And you know what? That's fair, right? You can plan all you want, but things are gonna, what do they say? If you wanna make God laugh, make plans. So you do some things, and I'm not trying to make this a religious class, it's just the saying I've heard. So, you know, you can make all the plans you want, but sometimes things don't work fluid, and you gotta be flexible. I totally get that. So I'm looking for, you told us about the type A personality, so we know. Thank you. What does highly organized mean to you?
Please don't judge my desk. Organized chaos. Like, I know where everything is. I can find anything.
Mhm.
To me, it's organized. On a day when one day when I have nothing to do, then it'll look nicer. But I
Okay.
can tell you my stuff for my
So
meeting.
retirement.
No!
We have nothing to do.
I can tell you my stuff for my meeting tomorrow is right here. I can tell
Okay.
you the stuff for my meeting next week.
I got it.
Here. So to me, it's organized.
Is that chronological? Would things for today be here and they move along into the past?
Things I'm working on.
Yeah, look, that was right. That's cool. Okay, so for some of us, organization is about physical objects, and some of us, it's about just the way we do things. We're looking at highly disorganized over here, right? Is that what you meant when you stood over there, Kevin? So why?
Bring other people
I
in with
guess,
me.
yes.
And you dragged someone with you. Why is that? What do you mean by that?
I can't keep anything organized for more than several minutes.
Okay, fair
Organized
enough.
chaos,
Does it work?
I guess.
I guess you're still employed.
True.
Yeah, you're here.
Hard to fire me.
Organization doesn't always mean good, right? Think of a lesson that you run. A lesson can be planned down to the minute, but it's never gonna run that way. So there can be levels of organization, and if we do it too much, then we rob students of the ability to do things like invent ideas and analyze. So good and bad doesn't matter here. Some organization good, some organization too much, not so good. Last one. I feel, and this is a feel statement, so I'm not asking you for your abilities, I'm asking you how you feel about your abilities. I feel confident in my ability to use EdTech.
It's just education stuff in general.
I'm over there.
Education technology.
How do you feel about your ability to use education technology?
I know, I have a
That's
reason.
concerning.
It's concerning, it should be. I don't tell my boss.
All right, we got our tech enthusiasts on this side of the room over here.
I know, I have a reason.
Go nerds.
It keeps me up at night.
It's about how you feel, okay? What's your name?
Bruce.
Josh. Good to meet you, Bruce.
Nice to meet you.
So tell me why you're not feeling so confident about.
Because every time you do something, it doesn't work exactly the way it's supposed to, and then when it doesn't work exactly the way it's supposed to, I don't know how to troubleshoot.
I understand that. Oh, is that the tech hotline? Are you a frequent user? They go, hi, Bruce.
No, not yet.
Okay.
But would like to use it more in the classroom. It's very valuable. It's very modern. It's what the kids need to be able to do.
Yeah,
What I need to be able to do. So the whole thing is about learning and going through the process.
I like what you said there, Bruce. Well done. Who does seem to be knowledgeable about tech all the time? Kids. Kids. Why? What's the difference between them and us?
They're natives, digital natives.
They do have an advantage that they've grown up around it, right? They didn't have to learn to use a computer for the first time. They have had tablets since they were, what, 3 years old or something like that. But there's something else too. Kids are adventurous. Kids will push every button. They don't care. They'll try everything. They don't care about breaking the thing. As adults, we know better because we grew up in an era, a lot of us in this room grew up in an era where if you didn't take the floppy disk out of the computer before you shut it down, you ruined that floppy disk. That's the era we grew up in. Tech did have self-destruct buttons, but nowadays it kind of doesn't. So I'm going to ask you to be like kids today. Try everything, push every button. Okay, first of all, this thing's hooked up to my computer and I know how to fix whatever you break. So unless you take a hammer to the thing, we're going to be fine. So as you're playing, play. Try everything, explore. Be like kids. That's how you learn. Sound good?
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Would you mind taking your seats again? Thanks for playing Spectrogram with me. These are our learner outcomes for the day. You folks, I'm sure, are excellent readers because you're educators, so just take a moment to read them, and then we'll move on. Sound good? Go ahead.
Let me know how the room temperature is. She said she's happy.
I'm happy, but I don't know about you guys. It says 72.0 Fahrenheit.
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool. And pedagogical application. We always write this for every workshop. This is how we feel this device can help you in your classroom. Key in this definition here is engage students. Engagement is different from entertainment. Entertainment is, ooh, that looks cool. That looks fun, let's do it. Engaging is, hey, this is interesting. I like the way this works. I want to do more of it. I want to stay engaged. We think you can make lessons more engaging with Brightly. And our community code is standard for every session. This is kind of how we're going to work together, but notice it doesn't say ground rules, it says community code. And what that means is we all make this together, and that also means that anyone in this room can change this. So this is not a Josh is in charge of you, Josh tells you everything and you sit there and listen. We're a community of educators. Everyone in this room is a professional, and what I'm hoping is that we're all going to learn from each other today. So if there's anything in here that you would like to change, please tell me and I will immediately change it.
Does anybody ever suggest changes to their community coach?
Sometimes people add things, like I've been in sessions where they want us to not take phone calls at all. So I've seen that. I've seen people add rules. I've never seen anyone take out have fun. So wait for that first group to be super serious. No, we don't want to have fun. Learn about things. It's serious. But yeah, sometimes. This is a really important one. Okay, don't ask me to go to the bathroom, please. You'd be surprised how many full-grown adults raise their hand and ask me. I've trained thousands of teachers. Don't do that. Just go to the bathroom. We'll take breaks, but just go when you need to go, okay? Don't tell me about it. I have a request actually, and it's up to you if you accept it. It's about text messaging. So I certainly don't mind a message or two. All of us have lives and I totally get it, but I am gonna ask if you need to have a longer conversation, would you mind stepping out of the room for that one? It kind of distracts from the people around you. Is that okay? Okay. Then if we agree to this community code, please say huzzah! Okay, we're getting better. I'll accept that because it's better than you were. It's not the best huzzah. All right, the first thing I want to talk about with this board, excuse me, I keep saying the board because it's not a board. It's the projector that does all the magic. This is just the board. This projector has two different modes. One's called PC free and the other one's called PC interactive. And as you might imagine, PC free means free of a PC, which means does not need a computer to work. So there's a lot that this thing can do without a computer connected. And we're gonna demonstrate that now by playing a game called Word Race. So I need to form you into two teams, so please count off by twos. Ready?
1,
2.
1,
2.
2.
Are you playing, Gigi?
I'm in next session, sorry.
Do you want to play anyway?
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Where do we end up?
2.
Good.
1, 2,
1.
2.
1.
Are you playing?
No, I'm sorry. I got something. That's why I moved to the back.
A lot of lurkers in here, just. All right, great. Team 1, come on over here. Team 2, come on over here. There we go. And for fun and effect, I'm actually going to disconnect my computer to show you that this is all projector. This is built in, so computer getting disconnected right now. I'll set this thing on whiteboard mode, and I will re-explain how all of this works, by the way. All right, we're looking at the 1400 model, so this guy's got to go here like this. All right, come on now. Nice big whiteboard. This is for you. This is for you. These teams even?
5 and 6.
Okay. All right, it's still fine. Here's how Word Race works. Please go up to the board and write your team's name. You can stick with team 2, but you could also make up a name. Do the same thing over here, please.
Warriors.
No, we should be Bob's Cats.
I thought about that, but I thought it was a little selfish.
I don't know. Look, it's better than Team 1.
All right, give yourself a nice underline as well.
First thing that came to my mind.
Team 1 and Warriors, got it. Okay, here's how Word Race works. I'm going to put 3 minutes on the clock. And your job is going to be to write as many words as you possibly can, and I need a topic to write about. So, someone say an academic topic.
English.
Okay, can we narrow that down to something within English?
Romeo and Juliet.
Great.
Great, thanks. That's all I know about Romeo and Juliet.
I got you covered.
Is this in the community code?
All right, because we're in the 9th grade building, so that makes sense.
Sorry, you can change it.
I'm going to expand that a little bit more. I want this topic to be plays. Anything about a play. All right? So you're gonna write as many words as you can about plays. Theater plays? I got you.
Just him
I was just
alone?
thinking about that.
Just him alone, can't we help him?
Here are the rules for playing this game, because it's not as simple as that. Number one, you need to write a word that starts with the letter of the last letter at the end of the previous word. So if I write dog, the next word has to start with G. That's rule one. Rule two, everyone has to write. Everyone in your group has to write.
In order?
Well, whatever order you want. Just everyone has to write. Okay? And finally, here's a fun little trick. If there are any duplicate words on the board, I will cross them out. So if you write scenery and you write scenery, no one gets that point.
Don't write scenery, because the next one I start to fly.
They'll be taking words away.
Is that the
Is
spelling?
spelling count?
Does it have to be? Yes, spelling
Plays.
counts
No.
because this is a ninth grade specific.
I don't know.
All right, so once again, the three rules are: the word you write has to begin with the last letter of the previous word. Everyone has to write.
Be kind.
Okay, well, that's always, right? Get that think acronym. And the last one is?
You cross off whatever is repeated.
No duplicates. Are you ready to begin?
Wait, what's the topic? Topic is
Topic
just
is
plays.
Plays.
What's
Anything
that
about
close to that?
plays.
Not even
Anything.
like football plays or no?
Ooh.
Oh, there you go, you did.
It's just saying.
Production plays.
Just saying.
On your mark, get go. It's okay to talk to your teammates, by the way. That's allowed.
Ending. Yeah.
That plays engaging.
Guys and dolls.
Did I spell it right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a S.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Girl.
E.
Clock, there you go.
Oh, no. Didn't see it over there.
See if you can figure out how to change the color of your pen. Just for
We're
fun.
focused on birds right now.
It's gonna take too long.
You realize that there is no prize, right? Just saying.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Who's next?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, anyway,
90 seconds remaining. Half the time is
I don't know
elapsed.
how to have another one.
it's not connected.
They just changed the.
Stop messing us up!
Are you kidding me right now? Wait.
There you go.
But then it has,
Yeah.
Shakespeare.
Scene, I do a
S.
scene over there.
Scene.
Based on scene, S.
Shoot.
S. Scene.
Not wise guy. Another S.
1 minute left. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ramp, because they often have a ramp that's on G. Okay.
Gathering.
Eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time has expired.
Dawn,
Thank
Good job.
you. Okay,
And
please put those pens back in the
drama
holder,
side,
which is
paint
attached to the
color,
board over there.
and drama side.
I think we spelled everything correct though, that's good.
I don't know. We just got started.
What is engagling?
Nice to meet you, Director
Thank
Bob.
I'll be back.
All right.
Engaging?
Ending.
Oh, ending.
All right. Time for some scoring. You can go back to your seats, unless you're really excited and you want to stand up the whole time. All right, here we go. You know, I think I'll do my grading in, I don't know, you guys pick a color. Purple? Okay, I'll choose purple. I'll use my finger for that. All right, let's see. So, Cats, Shakespeare, Epilogue, Ending, Guys and Dolls, Stage, Exposition. Can someone explain what the exposition is? I forgot. Go ahead.
Exposition is the beginning where the characters and the conflict are introduced.
Nice. Okay, all right. Narrator,
Romeo and Juliet.
R plus Juliet. R plus Juliet.
Well,
I try to fix the spelling.
It's like the female version of the razor. There's Gillette and Gillette. No, I'm not a comedian. Not professionally. I don't know, should we accept that? Raise your hand if we'll accept it.
Everybody from our team, raise your hand.
Romeo and Juliet is just the same as Guys and Dolls.
That's spelled correctly
Yeah, it's
though.
not spelled correctly.
You said it was spelled correctly.
Spelling, you didn't say spelling was
I
included.
made-
She did.
Easy
Oh,
to
yeah.
Bruce, taking the credit.
I did, I said that because it's a 9th grade building, but if you guys want to accept it, I'll accept it.
We accept everyone.
Okay, I'll accept it. What does this say?
It says elements,
Elements.
but.
That-
The pen
The pen
wasn't
wasn't
working
working.
What do you mean by elements?
Elements of a play.
Like, can you, what are the elements of the play?
Exposition. Epilogue.
Rising action, falling action, climax.
Oh,
Soliloquy.
like literary elements.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool, all right, good. Scenes. And like the number 3. Maybe I'll just ignore the number 3.
I think the number 3 was us trying to write and the
Yeah,
pen
it's
wouldn't
the
work.
Okay.
Explain.
What is a soliloquy?
Soliloquy.
That's not how you spell soliloquy.
How do you spell soliloquy?
You're in front of a computer. Please look it up.
My computer, let's see, hold on.
Am I wrong? Maybe you do spell
I
soliloquy that
believe
right.
it is spelled like that. I did teach English for 12 years ago, so.
Oh, I'm not an
Oh,
English
so when
teacher.
you're wrong now, it's gonna be extra.
Yeah, we get extra points. for
Oh,
that.
that's extra
It's a
points
Y
if you're
in there.
wrong.
It's a Y in there.
Oh, it's a Y, not a B.
It's a Y?
Yeah.
All right, I think we have to cross it out. All right, we'll cross that out. Entertainment, talking.
Yeah.
Why?
Another word for dialogue.
Okay.
Remember, there's
Gatherings.
no prize here, so she's gonna come at you.
Can you explain gatherings?
Well, you have to do it to someone. You can't just get on stage and have a play. There has to be a gathering, and they call that an audience.
And back in
Yeah.
Shakespeare's days, it was a social,
Yeah.
it was a social thing.
Yeah.
They went and they hung out with people in their
Yes,
classes,
totally.
so there were many gatherings.
Okay.
Bruce stuff.
Audience.
Songs? Are we talking about like musicals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We played, all right. And speaking? I like how we got talking and speaking.
Yes.
Nicely done. All
Try to do
right.
two different things.
I'm not really this stupid, by the way. Why am I asking you to answer me and talk to me about these things?
To
That's
engage.
what we do to the kids.
I'm trying to get you to justify your answers for me because by doing that, I'm causing you to evaluate your answers. So this becomes more than just a what vocabulary do we remember exercise. This is about telling me why your answers are okay. Cool. All right. Let's take a look at the others. Drama, actors. Uh-oh. I think we both had stage. Sorry. Oh, we had it first. I always hear that one.
Josh, I'd like to point out that the way I spell soliloquy is the French way, and that's what I was trying to do.
Uh-huh. And I didn't specify what language the word
Yes,
has to
true.
be in.
That goes
So I
back
think
on
we
the
get a
board.
check back.
So if you can pronounce that in French, I'll give it to you.
Soliloquy.
I
I would imagine that that's the root language of the word.
E doesn't make a sound in French.
So how would you pronounce that?
Soliloquy.
All right, I'll take it. We'll put it back on the board.
Give us a check.
Circle it.
Yeah, I guess I'll do that. Oop, wrong button, sorry. All right, sidebar. We'll circle it in green to remember that we're accepting it. We'll not circle it in green. We'll first choose green. Oh, because I didn't change the color. Sorry. Ta-da. We'll accept it. All right. Well said. Well justified. All right. What else we got? Engaging. Group. Group.
Don't you have to have a theater group in order to put on a play?
I don't know, man. You could have a one-man play.
You still have to have somebody to support him somewhere.
Well, if you accept the
You need
gatherings.
lighting, you need, yeah, stage, and
Uh-huh.
curtain has to open and close.
Okay.
If we took gathering.
Yeah.
No, it's fine.
All right. Fair enough. We'll accept it. Plot, theater, ending. Did you both use ending? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Guys? Can we explain guys? How do we justify that?
Well, you guys and dolls over on this
That's an
side.
actual.
Yeah.
That's a name of a
Well,
play.
you have to have guys and girls in your play.
I think they were
No,
trying
you
to
don't.
copy us and they couldn't
You don't
see
have to, but you do.
We didn't even look at yours.
I don't know about this,
There's an
guys.
ending up there.
I mean, there are plays that are all female.
There are
And
also
all
plays
male.
that are all guys.
Yeah, I have seen one. It's weird.
I don't know.
But usually there's at least one guy in the audience, maybe.
Now, if we can help it.
Without guys, there wouldn't have been the girls in the first place.
I think this is a stretch.
A long time ago, there was a lot of guys. So.
I think not. All right, scene.
Hey,
You didn't both use scene, right?
Guys.
We have
Yeah, we said
scenes.
scenes with an S.
I'll allow it. Evil?
some plays are evil.
Part of the plot.
Elaborate.
I don't know the name of them, but there's some that make me pretty scared, so there you go.
Someone help her out with that
It's
justification.
part of the plot.
I'm trying to think what.
Yeah, Wizard of Oz.
Tragedies are evil.
Protagonist.
Antagonist.
Okay,
And I'm not an English person, so.
all right, we'll accept it. Lights, star, I'm assuming you don't mean the hot ball of plasma in space. You
No, the
probably.
star of the play.
Right, that's what I thought you meant. Ramp?
To get up.
You gotta get on the
Handicap
stage
ramp,
somehow.
Gotta be
It's a-
handicapped
it's a prop.
accessible.
Really?
That's the code.
You're on the wrong team, I think.
I'm helping, we're all together, we're all together.
All right, I'll allow it. Players and song. If you have songs, so we'll allow it. All right, how did we do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 on this side. And over here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Hey, congratulations, Warriors. You got it. You win bragging rights the rest of the day. It was close. Okay, a couple things to point out about this. Number one, my computer is not hooked up at all. This is all happening within the board itself. This is called PC free mode, and this happens to be whiteboard mode inside of it. To change modes, you're gonna need to look for this icon over here on the right-hand side. When you click it, you're gonna get a side-by-side view. Side-by-side view. This is where you can see one thing on one side and one thing on the other side. So split screen is standard on these 1400 models. You can drag that back and forth to resize if you want. And if you just drag it all the way over, you'll go back into the other view from the, oh my goodness, I'm touching the touch screen. From the computer or whatever's hooked in, to any video source. I've got nothing hooked in right now. But once again, I'm still in PC free mode, so everything I'm doing happens on the board over here without a computer attached. Ta-da! You can draw over anything. to change this little icon over here, you'll notice it has two icons. It might be hard to see from the back. This one that we're on now looks like a pen on top of a projector. And so that is the PC free mode. The other one looks like a mouse and a computer. That's PC interactive mode, where I'm using the computer along with it. Make sense? Two modes.
So if you,
Go ahead.
if you hook this up, if you, your computer up right now, it would automatically go to that mode, if you've been in this mode.
So I'll do that, and we'll look at what happens. I'm gonna hook up my computer right now. What I'm seeing is my computer's picture, but I'm not interacting with the computer. So if I touch the board, I can draw, but notice I'm not advancing the slide like I normally would. This is still PC free mode. To change it, you do have to push the button here and change it over. Okay? It'll tell you what mode it's in whenever you touch those things. Now here's a weird, confusing part about the 1400 series. And I'm sorry to tell you this. Part of what I said isn't true. Some projectors on the 1400 series do allow some interactivity even when you're in PC free mode. So we're gonna try it now. I've plugged in the USB cable, I've plugged in my video cable, and we'll find out. I'm in PC free mode. Look at the sidebar, and there's a mouse on here. Let's see what happens. Yep. So this is a weird thing that you need to get used to. We still need to think of PC free mode as a mode that is not connected to a computer. It works just inside of the projector itself. However, because of the way this works, you will get some interactivity with your computer in PC free mode as long as you're hooked up. I'm sorry it's confusing. Epson made the change. They saw it as an upgrade, but to everyone else it became kind of confusing. If this doesn't make sense, please ask me questions about it because I want to make sure I explain it before I move on. Go ahead.
So you could advance the screen, but could you still write on it like you were just doing?
Yeah, and here's I'll show you how you know what's going on. So go back and we'll look at the pens again in just a second. Come on, usually swiping works, thank you. If I go and write with the pen some more, all over this screen, take a look at what my computer screen looks like. There's no writing on it. This is like a transparency. I'm writing over the screen, but I'm not writing on the screen. In PC interactive mode, I will be writing on my screen. In PC free mode, it's like an overlay.
Any other question? I have a question for you. When you're on that overlay, how do you keep it from going from slide to slide to slide with you?
So to keep it from going from slide to slide, whenever you choose a tool, you'll choose one of the pens. Otherwise, if you choose the mouse, that's what's going to advance things, just like I'm clicking on the screen.
So when you click, go ahead and advance your slide. You know, how do you get rid of all that script?
You'll have to delete it with the eraser.
Okay, so you have to delete it before you move on, or it's gonna stay with you.
It's a good idea. Now, about half of this session is PC free mode, and about half of this session is gonna be PC interactive mode. So when you wanna write on your screen and have it stay and have it be part of your presentation forever, PC interactive mode. When you wanna just write over any source, and just simply write things and don't worry about saving them or anything like that, PC free mode is for you. Sound good? You look like you're having trouble deciding if you want to stay or
No,
go.
I have something that pertained that I was interested in, so.
Oh, cool.
Hi. So we, with the pen earlier, had trouble writing on it, and I've had the same issue. Like when you go and you start to write, it does all kinds of funky stuff.
Perfect. This is the right time of the session to discuss this.
Awesome.
So thank you for helping me with my segue. I'm going to pass these two pens around, and I just want you to tell me what you notice about them. Okay? That's it. Take a good look, pass them around. And I'll erase all of my markup here and go back to the regular mode.
So you have your presentation and you're in PC interactive and you write something on the board. will also be transferred to your presentation on your laptop.
That's correct.
And to not let that stay, you just not save it when you closed out, is that true?
That's right. There's multiple ways to do all of this, and you could do this in Smart Notebook and it'll stay as part of Smart Notebook, or you can just write on the screen. I'll also be modeling more of easy interactive tools and how that works, so more detail on that later. But the short answer is there's multiple ways to do this. What did you notice about the pens? Just anything you noticed about them?
It comes apart.
Yeah, how?
There's a little latch in the middle of it on the back.
Oh, this guy?
Yeah.
That's the battery door. Each of these comes with 2 rechargeable batteries, which are not here. What happened to your rechargeable batteries?
1470s weren't issued with rechargeables.
They were.
Really?
Yeah. This model, last year's model was, but
Wow.
these 1470s were not.
That makes me sad. I'm gonna complain to the Epson guys about that, because I like that feature. Okay, standard AA batteries. They last a really long time. Pens are in low power mode, and if you put them down and they sit there for more than 20 seconds, they go to an even lower power mode. So they'll last a really, really, really long time. You probably won't have to change your batteries, I don't know, maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months, something like that. When we have rechargeables, we usually tell teachers to charge them on Fridays, but just because that's easy to remember, charge it on a Friday, but in reality, they'll last a couple months without needing charge. Maybe you'll invest in some chargers anyway, just standard AA's. Cool, what else did you notice about the pens?
Soft tip.
Soft tip, and it actually comes with a wide variety of tips. Do you know where your others are?
In my closet.
Okay. In your closet.
In Sue's closet.
In Sue's closet. Where's Sue's closet? A different room, I'm assuming?
Down.
Here.
Okay,
Called
great.
6200.
We,
Show up.
they came in pre-installed with soft tips.
Yep.
And the spare tips, we saved for replacements because the hard tips were much like the older model interactive pens that just were harder to use from feedback I received.
So there are all kinds of different people, and we all have different abilities when it comes to writing. And so some of us prefer a soft tip because it allows me to push harder or softer. But for some students, especially those with, say, mobility issues or fine motor control issues, it may make more sense for them to use the harder tips. So I like having options. Replacement tips I think are really cheap from Epson. They will stay as clean as you keep the board. So if you write all over the board with Expo marker and you're doing that, they'll get dirty. But they're easy to replace. They simply pull out. Okay? And the top part can actually unscrew as well. So you can get that little part out there. You can pass that around so they can take a look at them. What else did you notice about the tips of the pens? They're wobbly. That's on purpose. Teachers can sometimes break their pens by going, oh, this is loose, and they wrench it in there and they break the tips off. So these tips are unscrewable. You can replace them. Again, replacement tips from Epson are not expensive at all. But the basic idea is this thing here, this is a button. That's what it is. So when you're pressing and you're writing, you need to press hard enough to activate the button. Got it? So sometimes when you're writing, if you use an especially light touch, you're going to get nothing or squiggly lines all over the place. Make sure you're pushing a little bit harder. That should help. Great. There's also the button on here. This button helps in 2 ways. One, if you push it, you'll see the light. That tells you the battery's good. But it's also a right click. We'll get into that in a little while, okay? So
we have stock with double A's.
So the computer sees this thing as a mouse. This is a left click, your regular click, and this is your right click. You do not need to hold the button down while you're writing. A lot of teachers do that, and then your computer starts going crazy. Because think about it. What would it be like if you click both buttons on your mouse at the same time, right? Your computer's like, right clicking, left clicking, what are you doing? So you don't need to hold that down. A couple more things about the pens and how they work. Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. Orange and blue. Every room can use one orange and one blue. You can't put two blues and you can't put two oranges, and you can't grab a third pen. So, one orange, one blue per room. But the blue one is recognized as blue by this projector and every other Epson projector. So if your blue gets broken and you ask another teacher, can I borrow your blue for today? You can do that. They're not synced to the projector at all. Go ahead.
Could you use your finger too?
Yes, you can.
So you could technically have 3 writing utensils going on one.
You can have 6, and we'll get into that in a minute, because we're gonna do finger touch next.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. No, don't be sorry. Good questions you're asking me. So here's how this thing works. Up here is an infrared projector, an infrared camera. This is an infrared camera. Underneath the black band here are infrared lights. When you bring the pen close to the board, the projector, through its infrared camera, can see the pattern being emitted from those lights. And that's how it knows where the pen is. Does some math, figures out where it is. These two pens, blue and orange, they emit different patterns. That's how the projector knows where the two pens are and how to differentiate between them. This means a couple of things for you. Come on, oops, there we go. When you write, you always need to write where you can see. Because if I stand here and try to write in my own shadow, I'll try it right now, I'm blocking the projector's camera up there. It can't see, so there's no effect. So we always tell people, write where you can see. So far, so good. Keep clear of the black band, especially students with mobility issues or grip issues. They'll grab the pen this way, and they'll try to write like that, or pre-Kers or kindergartners. That's fine if that's what they need to do. Just tell them to choke up on the bat a little bit. Don't cover the black band. And that's it. Keep your fingers away from the button. Yep, don't hold the button while you're writing, and keep it as clean as possible. That's how the pens work. Any questions? Pretty good. Okay, cool. My advice to you, whenever you are done writing with a pen, always put it back in the holder. It's not magical. It's not like it needs to go there for a technical reason, but I don't know about you. When I'm teaching, I move around a lot, and I'll put my pen down, and then I don't know where that pen is now. I've completely lost it. I'm searching the whole room to try to find it. So just get into the habit of always put it back in the holder, and teach your kids to do the same thing, and that way you'll never lose them. Next up, we're going to talk about finger touch. This cool diagram here was drawn by a genius guy. His name is Josh Kaplan, and you may have heard of him. And this is how the touch unit works. This is how touch works. So this is the touch unit. And what it does is it emits an invisible infrared curtain. It's really close to the board. What happens is when your finger breaks the curtain, the infrared camera can see that break, and that's how it knows where your finger is. So let's see how close we got it to the board here. There it goes. Pretty close, actually. Nicely done. Your finger acts like a mouse as well. It's really just a left click. Those of you who use touchscreens, are your computers touchscreens? Okay, so you'll need to get used to some of that. But if you use a touchscreen, if you want to right click, it's simply holding the finger down, and then it'll become a right click. So you can do everything without going to your computer, and you'll notice for the whole session so far, I've not gone back to my computer and touched anything over there. The goal is for you to not get stuck here sitting down. Your goal is to be here interacting with anything on the board as much as possible. So that's how the touch unit works. If you're having trouble with the touch unit, like you touch the board and it goes to a weird place or something like that, there's a couple of reasons why that might happen. One is, if you're really wearing very, very sparkly jewelry, it can reflect the infrared light and cause the camera to have trouble. So, you know when you guys wear your really fancy bracelets? Just kidding. That can happen. Generally, like engagement rings and wedding rings, I haven't seen too many troubles, but when people wear like those really long bracelets that jangle around, I've seen that issue before. If you're having reports where people are just kind of walking by the board and it's doing stuff, this means that this touch unit is not installed correctly and it needs to be reinstalled. Are you having other issues besides the ones I've described?
Rich, he turned off the hover, or turned hover back on.
You turn it up, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I said how we had issues that we always turn it off.
What issues have you had with hover that you wanted to turn it off?
Just on, random walks on the board, sometimes there were issues with, clarity of writing, so we just defaulted into turning it off.
I've heard that advice before in other districts. Hovering is not your problem. It solves it because it eliminates the ability of your pen to be in the right place at the right time, but it gets rid of the ability to hover, which is a bad thing because you need to be able to do that for a lot of applications. So those issues are probably caused by either simply just not pressing hard enough with the pen when you're writing, or again, some really reflective jewelry, or this. So if I look at the average elementary school classroom, this is what I'll see. A board with a million beautiful things all around it, right? Because we're creating what's it called, literacy-rich classrooms or something like that, text-rich classrooms. But if you put things on the board here, you're interfering with that camera over here. Something as simple as this kind of a poster, if it's really shiny, it's reflecting that light sometimes and not reflecting sometimes. So our advice to teachers is give some room, give some breathing room. A nice 1-inch border around the board will really help. That can be the issue as well.
When you say 1-inch border, do you mean the way it's set up right now, or on the actual slide?
Around the picture of the board. So don't mount anything here, mount it 1 inch away here. If you were to put a poster up, it shouldn't be closer than here.
Are you talking like physically on the whiteboard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can do that
So
on these whiteboards.
we've steered, I'm part of technology, my name's Rich. And
Hi, Rich.
Hi, Josh.
I'm Josh.
We've steered, teachers in all buildings away from putting anything, or trying to keep 0 markers and decorations on their board as a standard.
Okay.
Because we've had some issues where there was decorations, there were any kind of foreign object on the board, and it was causing problems.
Yeah. The projector will interpret that as a finger touch. So that's what's going on. I mean, that's good advice, but I always feel like if you empower people with more knowledge, they can make the decisions they need to make. So that's my advice to you. Take it or leave it. I mean, I'm gonna leave and go home today, and you have to stay here. So you do the policies you need to do to make things work for you. At least you know how it works and what's happening. Try turning hover back on. I don't think that's your issue. I've heard that, especially from resellers. They often say that because they know it'll solve the problem, but what's really happening is just it's mostly just user error for most of the time. And you shouldn't need to turn off hover. Hover is a feature of this thing that's supposed to work properly. So turning off features, it's like saying, oh, my air conditioner is not working. Well, don't use your air conditioner. Well, I'm gonna use my air conditioner. I bought an air conditioner. That's the way I feel about it. As I told Bob, we can come back and do like a diagnostic day and help you with those individual rooms. But I'm hoping that this knowledge helps teachers as well. Any other issues that you've seen? When we do SMART a little bit later, I've heard of some issues with SMART and BrightLink, even though they are partners, they're business partners. So maybe I'll be able to answer those, because sometimes I've heard people having trouble with that. First question, do we use any Macs in the district?
Yeah.
We have a couple.
Okay, that might be where you're having issues. We'll talk about that a little bit later when we get to drivers and software. Cool. All right, I've got 9:05, so we are pretty on track. Let's keep going, okay? Okay, so next up is this cool device. Because you bought the 1400 series models, they come with these side mount devices. I don't know where they are in every classroom, but they're here in this classroom. And I have some points to make about them. So it's a control panel, and it's useful, but I gotta be honest with you, a lot of teachers just never use them. Let me explain what they can do, and I'm just looking at my notes to make sure I tell you everything, make sure I get everything right here. So this control panel is hooked up via a USB cable, and it's hooked up to the projector. It's also where you plug in your video sources, and that's why I like them too, because it's a nice convenient place to plug in. So if you end up getting, say, a document camera or something else, that's a nice convenient way to do that. The computer is giving me trouble right now. Why, computer, why? Help me out here, buddy. What a great time for that. All right, I'll just wait. To use this thing, a USB drive is how you use it. So you get a nice USB drive, which I have an example of right here. Visual modeling is always good. That thing. My brown case.
It's right behind your other laptop.
Oh, cleverly hidden by me, so I couldn't find it myself. Here's how this thing works. You plug this guy in over here, and now you can save stuff to it. So remember how PC free mode works without a computer? This is part of that. Go back into PC free mode. And I'm in PC free mode, and I'll go back to whiteboard mode, which is here. And I'll simply drag it. Most of the time we tell people, if you're using PC free mode, the disadvantage is you can't save anything. But that's not true with the 1400 series. That panel allows that. So down here you have several options for saving things to there. If I click on the save icon, which is a floppy disk, which cracks me up because when was the last time you used a floppy disk? You can save things to that storage in different formats. PDF, PNG, and EWF is the easy Epson whiteboard format. It's a specific format just for Epson. So in theory, you could save it to this and then bring that flash drive to another projector, plug it in, and continue to use it. In reality, you'll probably never do it, but it is there for you. There is also the ability to save to a network folder, because these guys can be networked. I think Jessica indicated that they are networked.
Good morning. At this time, period 3 exam is concluded. We're going to ask that students transition to their period 4 exam. If you're leaving the building,
Okay.
please be careful, stay on sidewalks and crosswalks. At this time, students make their way to their period 4 exam. If you're in the building and you do not have a period 4 exam, we ask that you report to the cafeteria. Thank you.
Right. So you said some of them are networked and some of them aren't.
Only if there's only two.
In theory, you could set up a network share and save them to the network share. I don't recommend it. It's kind of an antiquated way of doing stuff. And yes, you could hook up a USB cable to the computer to save files directly to it. I'm telling you that these options exist, and I'm telling you you're never going to use them. Because if you're going to save stuff on your computer, you're just going to use PC interactive mode. And we'll get to that, and your life will be way easier. But you should know what the thing does. There is a way to print from here. You can print this. It's here in the options. It's a little printer icon as well. And we'll click print. And the reason a communication error occurred is because I haven't hooked up a printer to that thing. That's how you would print. You hook up a USB printer to it and print directly from here. Again, these are nice options and they exist, but you're not going to use them. You're going to use PC interactive mode whenever you want to create things that you want to print or save or email to people or collaborate on. But again, you should just know what the thing does. Of course, we could say, like, let's say this was an amazing work of art that you've created. We did a we're in an art class, and we did this amazing collaborative art activity. We all worked together, we made this wonderful thing, and we're like, oh my god, we did it in PC free mode, how are we gonna save this? The usual answer is take a picture with your phone, but in this case, it's gonna be plug in a USB drive, click save, and you can save it as a PDF and you'll have it forever. This is probably the only use case I can really think of, and I'm really stretching. Are we okay with what that box does? The other thing it does is it turns the projector on and off. If you lose your remote control. All right, let's unplug that thing. That's all there is to it. There's a whiteboard button on here as well, so you can push it and always get to the whiteboard like we're doing here. All right, that's really it for PC free mode. And at this point, and at this time, I think it's time for us to take a break. So let's take a 5-minute break. According to this clock, I've got 14? So let's come back at 9:20. Take a nice break.
Kids just got out of their exam, headed up for anyone.
Because that's a kid bathroom.
It's your deal, buddy.
So right across from Robin T's office is the bathroom.
Oh yeah, I use that when I made my sausage and just blow up the microwave for plate. Thank you.
Oh, at least you were filling the office and not running it.
Yeah, I like noticed it right away. Luckily I like to go back or like almost it smelled really good.
Hi.
Maybe the heads up.
Yes.
We do have some techs that couldn't make it.
Okay.
So I don't know if they told you what the big black thing up here is an iPad. They're streaming it to the text feed. I just
Okay.
wanted to warn you that there's been a lot of gunshots basically is what I'm getting at. Not my butt. It's fine so far.
Okay.
I just wanted to give you the warning.
Yeah, they did mention it to me, and I'm just gonna tell you what I told everyone else. This session is a hands-on session, so we're gonna do a station rotation. There's
Yeah, which we won't be able to get. And I told the
Yeah.
that they're missing out, but
Yeah.
he did release a bunch of stuff that I've already tried telling. That's like came from Boyertown where we had the same training.
Mm-hmm.
Between pen tips and stuff like that.
Thank you.
So,
Now we trying hard to do it again for the rest of
hopefully-
the day.
Hopefully they're getting something out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do love having the text because they get hit with a lot of these questions, so I'm trying to empower them.
Right.
But I get it, schedules happen, and it is what it is.
Yeah, well, we also, there's people like, I forget how wide we are, but there's some people just literally couldn't make it in. Well, now there's no excuse for them, but, I just, like I said, I wanted to give you the heads up.
Thanks for letting me know.
Told you.
If you get any questions from the
Thanks.
peanut gallery, let me know, okay?
Yeah, that's what I've been kind of waiting for. So far, it's all just notes.
Okay.
Good,
Good, all right, thanks for letting me know. Very good. I knew I had my notes here, just had it in the wrong place.
How's your blood pressure?
It's fine, I eat a donut, right?
Oh, yeah.
Have another donut. I might eat.
I think you're too young. You need more donuts? Yeah. Want me to run out and get some? Jess, want me to run a break, a bunch and get some? Because it's right down, it's right there, near, it used to be by the food bar. Yes.
Just do it.
But, so we do dairy, but no. Do we go now or do we go during break? But someone can come before the session. Yeah, I'll go as soon as it's finished. I'll go as soon as it's finished. Like a dozen? How many will they come in? Does it like 6? You could do.
From one of them.
Yeah.
Tell me what number. I did 18 this morning. Okay, so
A
how much
button at
do you
the
have left?
bottom of the screen so you don't have to drag it to get to the white.
Yes. one of those at the bottom will do that. It's this one over here.
No more powder and no more,
Yep.
no more jelly, so like.
So this actually, you can also add more pages and stuff like
Sprinkles
that.
and, what
Look
is
at
it,
this.
glaze. That looks amazing. Is that cream cheese on top?
Using that one also, or is that just a different one? Same one? Oh,
So
sweet.
this one will,
So I went to dinner last night for my birthday.
you'd have to start it as a
My
meeting,
college
right?
roommate,
Not
because I was
that.
so sick for my birthday.
yeah, it's, the 1400 series was originally designed for, businesses.
Okay.
So their idea was huddle spaces where they would connect several of these in different offices. 'Cause that's why you're gonna see nomenclature like meetings and.
Yeah,
that
I
kind of
saw
stuff.
there when I was like, when the slides were, it was like,
Aaron, you
two
tried to
together.
Mhm. Yeah, the home button is always a great way to get anywhere you need to go, so things are a little more explained on the home button, so you can always do that.
So I was also trying to let them know.
It's okay.
That's a good place. I feel like I'm. They're not
Yes.
even on Mondays, but I think.
So you can already see it. Okay.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm still full from it.
Oh, and this guy is networked.
Yeah, you know, like this one for troubleshooting and testing, like the screen mirroring and some other thing.
Actually on both networks, looks like he's hardwired and he's got a
This one, Bobby's room.
169254.
Don't try to get in Bobby's room though. Where's that?
Yeah, no, it's almost like mobile, though, which is our staff network there.
Mm-hmm, you got it.
Do we have any other network projectors besides this one and Bobby's?
Not yet. It's been like a test run.
Did you get cream too? Are these from Gigi?
Aaron, you fed the troll.
What?
You fed the troll.
They finally gave me an account after my email last night.
No. Now they're gonna say I told you so.
For card down? There's a one-way card down, but we have to get something like
Josh, if you want coffee or tea or anything, feel free to help yourself.
Appreciate that. Actually,
Or one of
we don't have enough decaf.
I didn't know
I
there's students
don't.
I only drink decaf, that's okay.
But I have
I
decaf
didn't know there's
tea.
students who,
Good.
But then if they can do
Sorry.
I
that.
do love tea. Maybe I'll-
But number two,
You know what?
one of my,
Yes,
I'm just gonna say, that's what we
This,
might do.
chocolate chai seems interesting. I'm gonna go for
No
that.
issues,
I believe that
and all of a
has
sudden.
That's okay.
Okay.
Tea always has less caffeine.
This is not
Coffee.
Perfect.
Except for Earl Grey, which hopefully is
Huh?
not up there.
Oh,
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah, that should be.
She came to me today and said, I'm not gonna be in the class.
Listen, I'm gonna go at 11 and get more donuts, so eat all of them. So the afternoon will have fresh donuts. And then if you're hungry, come back.
You're a OneNote user.
I am.
You can use OneNote with the board too.
So I'm looking
You
at.
can hook it up and
42
it becomes a touchscreen surface. You can draw with the pens and stuff.
That's great.
Just so you know.
So I just open up the computer and use it in my PC.
Interactive mode. Is this a fire alarm?
No, that's the bell.
That has happened.
Good morning. All students should not be in their period 4 exam. If you're not taking a period 4 exam, you need to be in the cafeteria at this time. Teachers, we did get notification, there was a car accident down Lewis Road. Lewis Road traffic is impacted at this time, so we still might have a few students making their way into the building. We'll shuttle them to your class as soon as they arrive, but we do recognize the traffic created by this accident might allow for some students to be coming in a few minutes late.
That way you don't.
So bear with us and we'll get them right down to your class. Thank you.
If you burn yourself, don't sue us. We don't have any money.
We have workers' comp.
Okay. We used all our money to pay for you to come here.
And for the projectors.
You don't say a
Yes,
word
that's true.
about, don't say anything about physics. But she's in virtual.
Alrighty then.
Look how she looked. No, go go. Didn't matter what you
So with the USB, are you able, will it track like bit by bit or just what you save to? Do you know what I mean? Like it's not gonna be live.
The EWF format, if you save in that format, we're talking about PC free mode plugging in a USB drive?
Correct.
Okay, so, the EWF
Yeah,
format,
the Epson whiteboard.
that's an eraser, hang on. these become separate elements. So if I save it in that particular format and then reopen it from that format, I'll still be able to manipulate those elements. So like things like select this guy and I can rotate him, etc. That'll still be possible.
And can you move that?
Mhm.
Yeah, the e-blast.
Oh, wow.
Yep, we don't spend a ton of time doing this because it's better in PC interactive mode. But yeah, these all act like elements and stuff like that. There's a lasso select and here's shapes.
It was in my quarantine.
It's your basic interactive board.
I could forward it to you, but it's just the progressions of the.
Let's see, what's that? Oh, I forgot, I can import images. And we can, I think, change the background as well.
Something else.
There's that button here.
But it's
In
not.
the 1400 series, things are in a different place. I think this is
So that's
it.
now available.
Yeah, you can change the background as well, which is fun. But again, we can do all of this in interactive mode, so I tend to not do too much of it here. Yeah. My music teachers love this one, by the
I
way.
got it this morning.
But also, my elementary school teachers love this, like kindergartners, because it's good for writing practice. Oh, that's not gonna work. So kids learn to write the letter A. And I'm doing that wrong because since it's lowercase, it really should be here.
Right.
And the capital A goes here. So, yeah, like that too. You guys teach high school though, right?
Yes.
So,
I don't know why
music
the whole-
or,
That happened when they did, there was a big.
Well, honestly, I was
The
thinking
new
of,
standards too.
I coached
Because they're like,
lacrosse
oh, these are not released
and
yet.
like
And
moving
they had like.
players around.
and you teach history?
I know, health.
Oh, it's like the first time I've met a coach that's not a history teacher. They do exist.
There's a lot of phys editors out there.
Yeah, there is. My buddy, his name is John, so we taught together for a lot of the years I taught, and if you saw him, you would understand why this story works. So long before he was married, he went over to a bar, and a girl comes up to him, she goes, all right, how much social studies do you teach and what do you coach? Because he just looks like a jock, so I always assume social studies teachers. But you teach, what do you say you teach?
Health and phys ed.
Health phys ed. All right, I mean, yeah, obviously, too. Our phys ed teachers tend to get even roped into coaching even when they don't want to be coaches. My mom's a phys ed teacher.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. She works in a district in New Jersey called Jersey City, and it's so large and the schools are so old that they have pools in the basements.
Wow.
So she actually is just a swimming teacher because they're big enough to have that. And it's really important because it's an inner city school system, and those kids never learn to swim.
Right.
So I think drowning deaths among black youth is like 30 times higher than among white youth because they
It's
just don't
equalizer.
learn.
Throw them in a pool, everybody's.
Yeah, no kidding. So I mean, it was really cool.
You said you were from Montvale?
That's where our office is. I live in Butler, if you remember that.
Do you know where Rivervale is?
Rivervale? Yeah, that's not far from Montvale, actually. Yep, that's Bergen County, I think.
Yes.
Huh? Yeah, we're not far.
My wife is from there.
Oh, no kidding.
Parents still live up there.
Thursday, she came down to PA to,
We went to Westchester and then kind of.
you came down here. I've been telling people where I was going this week. Springport. Everyone's like, where? But this district is a lot bigger than I expected it to be. No kidding.
So I go to.
I've been sprawl.
Yeah.
I go to cycle.
But it's nice. I mean, this building is beautiful, I gotta say.
But there was a free charity ride on.
I got a cousin who lives out in Philly, and I was thinking of trying to visit her, but
Yeah, my one friend goes to those.
it's like an hour, I think, with traffic to try to get there. Yeah. And I came in late last night because I had meetings I had to be in before I could try out here, so I'm
I
like,
love spinning, like
See you next time,
literally I
Jess.
only work on once a week, like I only go.
folks, we gotta get started again because our 5-minute break turned into a 10-minute break.
I just, if I'm, it's like the bang for my, cause my one friend's like, I'm teaching yoga.
So is that Dorsey, first like the line.
So just to catch you up a little bit, Kyle, right?
Kevin.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Hold on.
We can call Kyle for the day now.
Now we will. So, are you from New York, by the way? Just curious. Are you?
Outer
Are you
space.
from New York?
Outer space.
You remind me a lot of my relatives, that's why I'm asking. It's a good thing.
Well,
Okay,
really?
It's a good thing. I like my relatives.
They're not from New York.
From New York, I don't know.
Outer space. David County, what if Earth is out?
So, a couple things that Kevin and I were talking about. There are other things you can do in whiteboard mode here in PC free, and we're not covering them because we're going to do most of them in PC interactive mode, but I'll show you quickly. These things that we're drawing, I'll clear the screen here and I'll just go back to where we were. When you draw something on here, it becomes its own element, so you can, say, select it and move it around and stuff and rotate it, etc. So you can do all of those things that you would expect to do with a smart board.
So much fun.
All right.
That was really good.
And like I said, grouping and ungrouping and changing the color of these things. The reason we don't go into too much detail here is because these things are better in the PC mode than they are in the PC free mode. So they're here, but they are here for you. And this is a laser pointer. And so here's a laser pointer. That's what it's supposed to be. You're going, why don't you just point at the thing? This is a business model projector. And so the idea is you would hook this up in one conference room and in your corporate headquarters, and then in a satellite office, you would hook up another one so that a person in one room could stand up and do this, and the person in the other room would see the laser pointer moving around on their screen.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why you have some of these tools that are like, when would I ever use this? They're meant for corporate, they're called huddle spaces now, it's corporate lingo, and that's what they're talking about. So there's a reason we didn't like touch and push every button. The other ones in here that you might be interested in, right over here is a button for different backgrounds. This is one of my favorite backgrounds because you can use it for music notes or you can use it for writing practice. Letter A, you can see I don't have great handwriting, etc. However, now that I think about it, your special education programs, they might use some of this stuff. Your OTs, your PTs. I forgot about that, sorry. So yeah, this might be useful to you. There's others in here. My math teachers tend to love these. In most schools, I'll tell them not to try to do graphing, but in your school, I will say that that's okay. Because most schools don't invest in this super beautiful flat board, and so this is warped. But this is not warped. This is a beautiful flat board, so I would say that you would be fine with graphing on this surface, even if you're graphing intercepts between two lines. Any questions about this stuff? All right, let's move on to PC interactive mode. Sound okay? All right, great. We said that PC free mode has two independent modes. So this is the whiteboard part, and the other one that we did was the overlay mode, which is actually called annotation. Okay? Now you can annotate over any image. We happen to be annotating over my PC screen. Remember I did this before and it didn't show up over there? But you could take this further and plug in a DVD player, like that guy up there, and plug it into your HDMI port and play a movie, and then pause it and say, do you see this part over here? This is where he's going wrong, and etc. So you could also, do you have document cameras in this district?
Some people don't.
The document cameras, if they plug in with an HDMI cable or something like that, teachers love to do that. That's also really great for your science department because a lot of times they'll have 3D objects, like a model of a hip joint or something like that. And you can put that on there and then annotate it on the screen. My colleges love that.
Question for you, you just said about the VCR DVD. Where does that hook into? I don't see it anywhere. I don't get it.
Would have to be a newer system, a newer DVD player. That's old RCA driven.
Okay.
That's pretty amazing.
So how do you get?
How does that communicate?
Actually,
It's just there for decoration.
It has to be driven, it has to have an HDMI out into, the HDMI on the side.
Okay.
Right now, all of the VCRs across the district, they're all RCA or the old style,
So they
which
use-
have no connectivity to the projectors.
so Rich probably doesn't want me to tell you that there are RCA connections in that thing because they have to run wires and all that stuff. And that's gonna be a giant pain in the butt, plus the picture is gonna look awful. So, my advice is if you wanna do that, you can put you can put that disc inside of your, thing, or get a newer player, like a cheap Blu-ray player that's like $20, and just plug it directly into the side here. And if you still have VHSs, it might be time to consider updating that material.
For the record, when I did that, we know that we could connect to the projector, but it's extremely problematic afterwards, because then if you take the cables out, then you're ruining if you move the projector, then you have to reset it.
Compromising it, yeah.
So for a VHS tape, which are no longer supported by the district curriculum, according to Kim Bast and Dr. Gooden, we have pulled the plug on VHS players.
Quite literally. That one's not plugged in, you pulled the plug on it.
Yeah. And
For $5 on
We
Sorry, the miracle bird.
No, remember the Titans, and it's great going into stress management.
So remember, the Titans is available on streaming, and there are DVDs and Blu-rays of that movie. I've seen them in like Best Buy in like the $5 bins.
It's,
Do you have a
$3
digital-
on YouTube.
Do you have a digital movie account? Like, I play all my movies through Vudu, my account.
No, I do not. You know what? I
You have
still have an
Amazon
old
Prime.
TV. I don't
Everybody has
even watch
Amazon
TV.
Prime.
I couldn't tell you.
I'd like to wish everyone a happy 2019. And just say that there's
I'll
options.
leave.
You're doing so good.
Listen, it's okay, look, there are options, because I don't want you to have to lose the materials you've got. And if you have the stuff, you can use it. Sorry about that, I apologize. Sometimes my humor goes too far, I'm sorry.
I think it was right.
It'll be fine.
So.
I'll take my old decrepit body out of here.
Oh,
Listen.
stop. Listen, there are good things, and I think Remember the Titans is actually a great way to talk about stress management. It's a really good idea. So just see if the district will get it for you on streaming or something like that, and you can still do it. And I think you'll have a better experience too. Because, see this giant beautiful picture right here? See how nice it is? Well, that's because it's in HD. And if I try to hook up an older source like a VHS, it's gonna look worse than it looked on our old screen TVs. So you probably have a better experience as well. Anyway, the reason I started this discussion, which I now sincerely regret, is because you can write over any source. So I'm writing over my computer's image, but you could write over anything coming out of a Blu-ray player, anything coming out of a document camera, any source. This is annotation mode. At this point, we're gonna switch to PC interactive mode, and now it will matter that my computer is hooked up, okay? Here's how that happens once again. Go on the side, see that button one more time? Just touch it. It's PC interactive mode, it's the one with the mouse on it. It looks like nothing has changed, but now I'm controlling my computer. Everything I do on this thing is as if I was using a mouse. So my finger acts like a mouse. I can swipe around. I can use the pen to move around, etc. All of these things act like just like I'm using a mouse. So that's how you switch. We're gonna do a little bit of practice together in this session, and then you're gonna work on a station rotation model where you'll learn more about these features independently and in groups, okay? So let's start with one of the most, I think, basic tasks when it comes to using this. Let's go to the X, exit out of my presentation. That's annotating a website. So who here has a website that they use in their classes? Does anyone have their students using websites? I mean, I can come up with one, but it's better if it's from you. We don't use websites in Springboard. Anyone have a website they go to read material? Or?
You can go to our website and I can sign into my email that way.
All right, I got one for you. Here's one for you that you might enjoy. So I'm gonna open up a new website, and we're gonna go to NOAA.gov. Anyone ever go there?
No, yeah.
Yeah, NOAA is great. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. I think it's still open, even though the government is closed.
It's just not updated. Aaron, stop reading.
Huh. Did I lose my internet connection? There we go. Okay, cool. Alright, so even when we have a shutdown, we have some things on here. There's good articles about climate on NOAA.gov. Furlough information, Josh picks the wrong one. How about this one? Arctic Report Card tracks regions' environmental changes. The reason I'm bringing this one up is because NOAA.gov has science-related material, but this is great across the curriculum because language arts teachers often struggle with finding, say, informational text. So we have to do a lot of that. We have Common Core here.
Yes, Pennsylvania.
Great. So we often have to do informational text. This is text for understanding things like a manual of how something works or a process. This is a good way to find source material for that. So I'm going to give you a very simple thing to do. I'm going to ask a couple people to come up here and annotate this website just with the main ideas, highlighting main ideas. To do that, we're going to start up the software that is free. It comes from Epson. And if you don't have it, I can show you where to get it. It's called Easy Interactive Tools. Do you have that on your computers? Well, let's find out. So what version of Windows do we use here? Is it 10? 7 or 10? Okay. If you're using Windows 7, you'll have a nice colorful little bar here, colorful button down here. And if you're using Windows 10 like me, this will look like a black and white kind of box. So who here is using Windows 10? Looks like my screen. And who here is using Windows 7? Looks like a colorful button. Oh, cool. Everyone's got 10 in this room. Awesome. Click the Start menu. And actually, do you know about the jump list in Windows? It's one of my favorite things ever. Look for a letter on here and click on the letter, like the letter A. This is the jump list. Lets you navigate around in your programs. I'm going to go to E for Epson. And I see an Epson projector folder. Do you have that?
No.
Okay, then let me teach you where to go get the software because you do need it. So let's go. We're going to open up a new tab in your browser. You're going to. Are you able to install programs on your computers?
It depends.
They want to go to Software Center, and, but yeah, I don't think, does somebody here actually have a computer?
I have software.
So we provide a portal for them to install software. They don't have the rights to just download and install themselves.
Does the portal have the right Epson Easy Interactive Tools in it?
Maybe in there, but I don't know for sure.
We can plug this one in if you want.
Well, I have software. I
Okay.
just want to teach them how to get it.
Epson Interactive Tools is in there.
4.21.
It is.
You do have it?
Is that right?
Yes.
4.21?
Please go ahead and download and install that thing.
Do you know what you're doing, Bruce?
Go to your Software Center portal and install it.
Click here. I'm gonna search
There that is.
software.
Yeah.
So after that, it should just automatically load. Just open it.
It's pretty quick too. It's like 4%.
Mhm.
Just make this full screen.
That's up there.
Let's open it up
I
again.
think this is.
When's the last time you
Does
restarted?
touch on the board matter? How hard or soft it is? Because I've had trouble like scrolling up and stuff on like software stuff.
So,
Hmm.
it should be under Epson.
No, it shouldn't matter. As long as your finger makes contact with the surface, you should be able to.
Should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to restart. Or we can,
For some
Well,
reason it
it's-
says.
Yeah.
Well, it's restarting.
For,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did it work for you all?
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's. Okay, well, if, okay.
I'm gonna launch the software on my computer, so you'll know that you're in the right place when you launch it on yours. I know you're installing right now. So.
Sure.
So there's a new version. We have
We're here to help.
0.21.
4.22 is the latest version. 4.21 is pretty similar. I don't see any issues if you have that one. Yeah, that's the challenge with Software Center, right? Somebody has to constantly go and download the latest versions. So when it starts up, it should look like this. So just give me a friendly wave when you get to this point. And if you have trouble, let me know. I'll come back. You got it. Cool.
I'm good.
Anybody else?
We're gonna share.
Okay.
She's having laptop issues.
Oh, sorry.
Well, no, that's just, I have 40,000 things going all at one time.
No, that's, in other words, you're an educator.
Yeah.
That's normal. Okay, cool. So here we are in Easy Interactive Tools. Easy Interactive Tools is the free software that comes with Epson projectors. And I really want to emphasize just how free it is. It is very, very free. And so you should expect to get out of Easy Interactive Tools what you would expect to get out of any free software. Got it? It's very free. This is the home screen that starts up whenever you start this thing. And I'd like to kind of describe to you what that is. Oh, I can't move that yet. What these things are, because they're pretty basic. So we'll start from the bottom. Guess what web browser does? It literally opens your web browser. It's free software, folks. There are some interesting things here, like camera. This will open up the camera on your computer. So it's the camera attached to the computer. So it'll probably open that. There you go. We're looking at the blinds over there. So you could record a video here or take a snapshot or a picture. It's fine. It does work. But you probably have built-in camera software that'll do a better job on your computer. Like Windows 10 comes with camera. So I would probably use that if I wanted to do any of that stuff. Just so you know what it is. I'll hit the home button to go back to where I was. There's home. Recent files opens recent files. Open will open pre-existing files that you've made. New will create a new whiteboard surface, and we're going to do that after this part. But we're going to start with desktop annotation. So please follow along and click desktop annotation. Now it looks like nothing has changed, but we're in annotation mode. So you'll notice on the right, I've got the sidebar. This looks pretty familiar, right? This is what we saw in PC free mode. And this bar is new. This is called the command bar. The command bar has a few other functions on it that we'll check out a little bit later. But there's basics in here, so we'll do some basic annotation right now. So I'm gonna go over here to my article, and I need a couple of volunteers, please. Yay! That's one. I need one more. Yay! All right. That's okay. Got it. Okay, I'm gonna ask you folks, you can work together, just talk to each other, and please highlight, and use the highlighter to do this, please highlight what you see are the most important sentences in these paragraphs you see.
Yeah. Okay, you're right.
So, main ideas, that's kind of what we're going.
I'm just,
Does it under, does it make like, I can make like a head?
So he's chosen the pen. That's the custom pen.
Oh.
And it lets you draw in any color or thickness you want. Nice, found the highlighter. I find that if you want to avoid that squeaking sound, hold the pen at just a little bit of an angle. A little better?
Yeah.
You get the hang of it after a while. It just takes practice like everything else. There's other color highlighters if you want. So we've chosen the pen once again.
Is this the am I hitting the right thing? Is this
You
the
are.
highlighter? So you can just change the color. Some of it's a little dark.
There Rich, do you wanna choose a different highlighter? So Rich has chosen a line tool where he's drawing lines. And that's okay, this is good, we're investigating things. Now, just so you know, Rich, you have selected the custom pen tool, not a highlighter. The highlighter tool is below the pen tool. One down. That's the highlighter tool.
Don't highlight too much, trust it.
I know, there'd be nothing left to read.
Is the ELA
The whole
teacher?
thing.
I was
in
thinking it would highlight better, like more like the highlighter on Word.
Yeah.
Like that the letters would still be like really dark.
Okay.
Cause I like that, but yeah, but it kind of like if I did, how I did this twice.
Like
Can't even see
opportunities
that.
is like a little.
Mhm.
Can't even see it anymore.
Now, how would you know what color that is without drawing? Hover. See what happens. See the big dot?
Oh, okay.
That's the value of hovering. You can tell what the pen is before you start drawing on the surface. There's one more way you can tell, and it's at the bottom of the sidebar. See the little legend over there? There's
Oh.
two pens over there. One of them is orange, one's blue. They tell you what they are. And what's the finger right now?
An eraser?
Yep, so try erasing some of that. So a lot of teachers like to leave the finger as the eraser because it's kind of natural for the way we write. Teachers will write with one hand, and on a chalkboard you would erase by doing this, right? Go home with a lot of chalk on your hands, or expo marker, depending on how you do things. So a lot of teachers will do that. Okay. All right, very nice. Give these volunteers a round of applause. Well done.
Where's the thing? Well, it's put in the thing. That's where he said.
Perfect. Like,
Store them up or down?
either way is fine. I like to put them down. Doesn't really matter. Good. Okay, I need 2 more volunteers, please. Go ahead. Go ahead. All right, please pick up a pen. I'm giving you both different assignments right now. Your job is to put ovals around verbs. Your job is to put rectangles around nouns. Oval verbs,
First, you know the noun.
rectangles, nouns.
Let's find out.
For hot stuff, that makes sense. Do I remember that?
Yes, you can help them. Nice. I was hoping she would look for that.
What am I supposed to put around nouns?
Rectangles.
Rectangles.
I'm gonna start again, because I haven't been close.
Yes.
Yep, so it takes some getting used to, which is why we're practicing. Remember, your finger right now is?
An eraser.
Yes. Getting the hang of it, nice work. Now-
It's not a competition.
Switch the pen out of your hand.
Bruce, oh, there you go, you got it.
Now, let's say you put an oval in the wrong place and you want to move it around. Look on the sidebar. There's 2 tools that look like they would do it. One looks like a mouse and one looks like a mouse pointer. The mouse is your actual mouse, like clicking on hyperlinks. But the mouse pointer is your select tool. That'll help you move objects around and resize them. So the first thing to do is touch it once to select it. You don't have to long press it, just tap and let go. Did you select that with your finger? Ah, there we go. Yep, takes a little getting used to. It's gotta be on the line.
Does it matter that they're both going at the same time?
It does not matter.
Now, can you make that like the black line skinnier, so it's not so?
What am I doing, verbs?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, verbs, Jess.
Come on up and try. What's your name again?
Anything you can do.
Susie, come on up and give it a shot.
Use, yeah. Compile. Look for stuff with ED.
So don't go so quickly. Go a little slow. Make a big box around that, giant box. It's Brian, right?
Bruce.
Bruce, sorry. Boy, I'm not doing well with names today, I apologize.
You're good with first letters.
No kidding.
So, Bruce, instead of, like, you're trying to go like, real fast here? Oh, you selected the green pen?
Yeah, okay, I was just looking at,
Select tool. Try to make a bigger box and go a little slower, okay? That'll make your life a little bit easier.
I'm just trying to erase it.
So you're using a select tool right now. To erase it, we've changed the finger to a select tool. What are we learning? All fingers are the same. The board can't tell one finger from another. So if one person makes the finger a select tool, they're all gonna be a select tool.
see an eraser?
That button will erase everything.
Oh.
Go a little slower when you select your tool. Good, you got it. You're an eraser. The finger is an eraser. The pen that you're holding, what color is it?
Yellow, I think.
Blue? Blue. That's a shape tool right now.
Yes, I'm supposed to be rectangle, right?
Yes.
That's good. It's just
Can
big.
you make like that rectangle skinnier?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Why don't you click this?
No, click on the tool again.
Which tool are you
Click on
on?
the button that he just did.
Why don't you
Not with your
open it
finger.
up now?
And then select, there you go.
I
That's
did
your
that.
finger, that's your finger, so you have to do it with your pen.
So I want to erase it.
No? I think your finger is the eraser. I'm not sure how you keep that straight, but try with your finger.
So your finger is a shape tool right now, and it looks like it's a line. See the legend at the bottom of the sidebar? That'll always tell you what it is. This is good, by the way. I know we're struggling a little bit, but this is how we learn. We learn by trying.
And then it changed.
But I thought we wanted to erase your eraser.
So click it slower and click on the smaller, the big.
Still blue. I think so. There we go, got an eraser on your finger.
You got it. Nice work. Remember, all fingers are now erasers. If anyone else would like to come up and try anything right now, this is the time. Because we're going to move into that station rotation activity in just a moment.
This,
You want it big?
I want that.
Now make this line.
Now your pen is that skinny line.
But is
Is
it
it
gonna be a
also the
skinny
shape?
line to
Yes,
make a
it
square?
is. So go for it. Remember, go slow.
No, that's
You
nice.
did it! Nice work!
That's much nicer. Now, can you like do a select? I don't have a pen on me, but can you select like these and change the lines?
Give it a shot. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna touch the,
Select,
touch the thing you wanna change.
okay. Shape,
No, you actually, go touch the actual circle that you wanna change.
okay.
If you're having trouble hitting the exact spot, draw a box around it.
Now I got it well moved.
Josh,
There
I
we
wanna,
go.
I wanna change gears for just a second. You see how it was off a little bit when she was attempting to highlight it? I don't know if it's connected to hovering, but one of the reasons,
Because I'm touching here
one,
to get it.
and we may be wrong, but
It's not like if you go right to the spot.
I've noticed that we seem to be
Yeah.
off a little bit.
See,
Okay,
yeah, that's
can I answer your
annoying.
question
Yeah,
first?
sure, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
So Susie, here's what you're gonna do. Yep, that drop-down box.
And
Oh, you know what?
that's not working.
I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I thought you could, but I'm wrong about
So
that.
that, yeah, I mean, I have to go
Yep,
back over
you'll
here,
have to create a new box.
but under circle, so I'll need to do this, change that.
Yep. And then you would draw a new one.
So you either have to erase it, you can't change it this, and I can't change that with.
Apologies, I was wrong. I thought you
Okay,
could, but I'm wrong
that's
about
what I
that.
was trying to figure out.
Great.
Now, question, if I want to start it here, see why it's drawing like that?
Yep,
How
so
come it's not doing exactly where I put the pen?
let me draw a really big one, and it'll help you see what's going on here. So I'm gonna draw a circle, right? And I'm thinking that my little crosshairs, the center is where the circle's gonna start. It's not. It's gonna start a little here, because it's like I'm drawing a rectangle with a circle inside of it. Imagine this as an invisible rectangle. That's what happens. Again, I'd like to emphasize that this software is free. It's completely free for everybody. So it does take some getting used to.
I think that affects.
So my advice is when you wanna draw an oval around something,
Do you have an Epson?
go near the top left corner of where that imaginary rectangle is. And if you're off a little bit, it's not a big deal, because you can always choose the select tool and move him where he needs to be. Is that a little bit better? Thanks for giving it a shot. Is there anything else you wanna try?
Not right now, I'm good though.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Rich, you were asking me about how it's off a little bit, so I wanna talk
I
about.
forgot that we were in the software, in the, easy software.
I just don't know what's on.
But in other applications, it seemed that the target area was always off. So one of our troubleshooting methods was to turn hovering off, recalibrate the board, and that seemed to solve it. But
Yeah, so two things. First of all, hovering is nothing to do with that, definitely. There are two things that you can do. One is the recalibration. These boards can be recalibrated automatically. You press the user button on the remote control, and it'll do automatic calibration. Push the enter key for yes. What's happening now is that infrared camera is seeing where the light areas and dark areas are. It's doing the math to figure out, is the board warped a little bit? Is it not warped a little bit? Where's the outside of the image, etc.
That was user button?
The user button, it's automatic calibration. And it's thinking about it, and that's it, it's calibrated. You should pretty much never have to do it. These mounts are pretty stable, so they'll probably never move except in case of earthquake. Do you have a lot of earthquakes here? Okay. So, I mean, we get a few in New Jersey, but not much. They're not big ones. So chances are they'll never move, and chances are you'll never have to adjust it. But just so you know, that's where it is. There is a manual calibration for those of you who need to get more exact. Most of the time this is gonna be pretty close, but if you need to get even closer, yep, see, I can see mine is off a little bit right now. So if you need to get it even closer, you can go to the menu. And we can go to the extended. Everything that has to do with interactivity is gonna be in the extended menu. Talking to you, tech people, pay attention to this part. I'm yelling at an iPad. Everything that's,
No, the iPad.
everything that's interactive is in the extended menu. Write that down. So in the easy interactive functions, this is where you can do manual calibrations and get things closer.
We're familiar.
So those of you who have used smartboards will recognize this. Touch the dot with the pen until it moves. For some reason, kids love doing this.
There's a ton of these.
Yeah, there's a lot of dots. This is why we generally don't do this in these sessions, but again, you guys are the drivers, so whatever you need from me, I'm here to provide, okay? I'm glad you're asking me questions. Please continue. I know it's scintillating to watch somebody touch green dots.
just how often do you use this board?
Once a month.
I have difficulties, when I put my laptop into the dock, I can't always get it connected to the board.
Yeah, that's the only issue I have. Sometimes I'll go to my board and it'll be a blue screen. I just have to click on dock and put it back in. Or it'll be fuzzy, not blue, it'll be
think about it.
What we share,
This is new.
and yours is?
Yeah.
Should be getting closer. Yep, a little bit better.
Still.
Now, there's one other thing. When this happens, you notice that it's close in the center, but it's off the further you get to the edges. You're going to adjust something called the pen operation area. That is also in the menu settings. Again, tech department, pay attention. It's still an extended, it's still an easy interactive function, same area as before. In this case, we're going into the PC interactive section, and you'll see advanced. And here is the pen area. That's how we fix that. The mouse pointer moves, you touch it, it'll move again. And you'll touch it again. That should be better. And it is better. So that's the pen operation area. If you stand here all day long and you go calibrate, 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 the weird thing is that pen operation area is going to be thrown off. And if you unplug your computer and plug it back in, a lot of times it just fixes itself. So my advice is take more of a hands-off approach, do less calibration, and it should probably work more reliably for you all the time. All right.
Okay, we're gonna use your board since you don't use it a lot as our test, because boards that get use every day or heavy traffic through the room, like ninth grade, the one board that was bumped into a couple weeks ago, 316 or whatever it is, I think, it seems to, it didn't seem to affect it. This board with just today, I don't remember the last time we reset this, so,
We have it.
and since it has such little use, now that it's set, as a tech team, we should not touch this board, make it a point not to touch it until, like, for a month, and see where we are with it.
Like, see how long it stays calibrated, I mean?
See how long it stays, yeah.
But wouldn't that be basis?
Is the calibration local to the projector, or is
It
it
is.
local to the computer?
It's in the projector, which is an advantage over smartboard. Because smartboard stores it on the computer. But this is stored in the projector, so it should not change.
All right.
All right, cool beans.
Thanks for taking that left turn there.
My pleasure. Like I said, you are the drivers. I'm here for you. Okay. So, yeah, see, I'm a little off now. Every time I mess with it, this happens. See? Look, the more I do calibrations, it's counterintuitive, but the more I do calibrations, the more off it's gonna be. So my advice is,
Unplug it, plug it back in. Is that like the restart of the board?
it's the restart of the computer world. There's an old joke. 3 engineers are driving in a car. Stop me if you've heard this one. It's an electrical engineer, a mechanical engineer, and a computer engineer. And the car breaks down, and they pull off to the side of the road. The mechanical engineer goes, I know what's wrong. Something's wrong with the gears or the linkages. Let me get out, look under the hood, I'll fix it, we'll get moving. The electrical engineer says, no, listen, there's a short in the system, or a fuse is blown. Let me take a look at the fuse box, and I'll fix it, we'll be on our way. And the computer engineer says, why don't we all just get out and get back in again? Computer humor.
Notice he's laughing.
If you're laughing at this, you are, it's like a nerd test joke right there, so, these are my people. Alright, so, just unplug it. Again, the more you try to like futz with it and get it exact, the worse it's gonna be. So, calibrate it and leave it alone. It's probably gonna work just fine. Alright, Folks, I'm looking at the time. It's 10:05, 10:07, and we end at 11. And I want to make sure I get some smart notebook stuff to you too, some smart stuff. So I'm gonna dispense with the station rotation, and I'm instead gonna go over some of those features manually with you. Does that sound okay? So I want to make sure you get what you paid for, really. So here we are. Remember, we've annotated this. Our next step is, we've done this great work as a class. We've annotated a website. We have all this knowledge we worked on together, and I want to save it. Maybe I want to put it on my website for everybody to have, or maybe I just want to email a copy of what we've done to that sick kid who can't come in today, or put it in Google Classroom or something so that it's accessible to everybody. But I don't want to lose this learning. So here's how this works. Did you do some annotating on your own screen, by the way? You can do that with your mouse. So here's how that works. The save button up here on the command bar will let you save this whole screen. And when you do, it'll give you options for saving. You can save things in any format you like. I'm gonna throw mine on the desktop for now. And your choices are EIT, which is the Epson proprietary format, Easy Interactive Tools, EIT. But there's bitmap and JPEG, which are both image files, and there's PDFs. So my choice is usually to save things as a PDF, because that's just the most helpful thing I can think of. It's the most compatible format I know of. And oh, this is the old on-screen keyboard. So yes, we can type in a name for this, S, F, for spring forward. And I'll click save. Make sure it's my PDF format. And ta-da! It's a PDF. Now, watch what happens next. I want to go find that PDF, so I'm going to minimize this window. See all this? This doesn't go away. It's like writing on a transparency again. So remember that the other thing that throws teachers when they're doing this kind of work is that if I start, say, scrolling around in here, like this, they're not going to follow with the scrolling. So your goal is get everything lined up first the way you want it, then do your annotations. Okay? Did it make sense what I just said? If this is making sense, stare at me in silence. Okay, good, cool. Let's move on. So here's that PDF. I'm just gonna clear the screen with this eraser. You already figured out how to do all that on your own. And here's that PDF. I'll open it up. And here it is with my annotations. Emailing this, putting it on your website, or something like that. The point of this is work that my students did. So projectors are often seen as teacher devices. I'm here to show you a presentation and tell you everything. But if we do this kind of work where I have kids collaborating and writing together, it becomes much more student-centered, and then they're doing the work. And they always say, right, never work harder than your students. So I want the teachers to kind of like relax a little bit, make the kids do the work, and then save the records of their work, and they're responsible for the learning, and you're just facilitating and sharing that out with them. That's how to save your stuff. And there are just a few other tools I'll go over with you. In this toolbox over here, and feel free to click along on your computers. And yes, that's a toolbox. That's what a Japanese software engineer thinks a toolbox looks like. So over here, there's some other options in here which I like. Check out the one that looks like a flashlight. It's your spotlight tool. If you're familiar with Smart Notebook, you've seen this kind of stuff. You can move it around by clicking on the black area, and you can resize it by going on the gray area and moving that around. Notice that the black area is not completely opaque. You can actually see the outlines of things, right? So if you're using this to hide quiz answers, remember that that's not gonna work perfectly. And the other one, which you should try also, is the window shade tool. So same thing. It looks like a little window shade you pull down, same in the toolbox area. You can move it around, you can resize it, etc. Good for the slow reveal method of learning. Otherwise, pretty much everything in here is gonna be pretty self-explanatory. That's annotation mode. We saw whiteboard mode in PC3 earlier. Remember our word race? That's in here too. This is the whiteboard mode. You can click on it if you like. And it's all the same tools we know and love from before, so we don't need to go over all of them. This is like a slideshow over here. And I've noticed this problem too. This is not just you. When I start whiteboard mode, I've noticed my pen is off, and I don't know why. I'm gonna try this other thing again, but this is an issue that I'm reporting to Epson, because it's not just you. I think I've seen this in Easy Interactive Tools, so that's not you, okay? Even unplugging or replugging didn't help, so I'm gonna report that to them. But in here are a few other tools that we can take a look at. This is a slideshow, and you can create more slides. It's nothing that you haven't seen before in Smart Notebook. And again, if you're gonna do this, you have a Smart Notebook, you'll probably do it in Smart Notebook. In here are a few other things. Remember my backgrounds from before? They're still here. And you can also make a background out of any image. Or you can open up your camera and take a picture of your face and annotate it, which is great for graphic novels, by the way. You're making your own graphic novels. So the backgrounds are here. And everything else is not that tough to learn. If you explore around here, this button will allow me to add an image from an image file in my computer. And everything else is pretty much the same. The reason I'm not going to spend a ton of time in this is you have Smart Notebook, and it's a better tool for this kind of thing. So I'd like to move on to that now, but if you have any questions, I'd like to answer them for you about Easy Interactive Tools. Nothing? No questions? Okay, let's move on. Are you sure? Great. All right. Let's move on. Who here has used Smart Notebook before? Just one person? Oh, a couple people have. Great. Okay. And I know you've had smart boards in this district for a while. You're considering some smart panels. Do we have any panels yet, or not yet? Yes. You do? Okay. They can be expensive. They look like a TV. So this thing can do everything that a smart board can do. Here's the history of that. Brightlinks came out, and they were cheaper than smart boards. And some districts started to figure out, oh, we can hook this up and use our smart software, and then we don't have to buy the smart board, we can just use the smart software. And then Smart got wise to that it was hurting their business model, and they created a software kill switch, which would detect if it was hooked up to a Brightlink and stop working. And at that point, Epson and Smart got on the phone and were like, what are we gonna do about this? Let's reach a treaty. So they did, and they have a business partnership now. So now Smart Notebook does work with the Brightlink. It'll do everything you can do with a regular smart board. The only thing you're missing is Smart Ink, if you're used to that, but we just saw how to do that desktop annotation. You just do that with the Easy Interactive Tools. So let's get into it. I've got a cool smart software file right here, Smart Notebook file. And one of the really cool things in the latest version of Smart Notebook 18, which I know you guys do have, is going to be Smart AMP and the Smart Online Learning Suite. And that's what we're going to play with right now. Has anyone, is there Smart AMP? Excuse me, Smart Lab. Has anyone here played with Smart Lab at all? Okay. So talk to me about your device situation. Are we one-to-one with devices for students here? Shared devices? Do we have a bring your own device policy? Can students use their own devices? Cool. Then you have all the makings of doing this well. Smart Notebook, you're probably familiar with the basics. I can write all over the board, etc. There's different kinds of pens. We're not going to do that in here because that's basic stuff. But what we can do is some of these fun, smart lab activities. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try one first, and then I'm gonna show you how to make it. So this is a smart lab activity. It's built in, you can make these. And here we go. Who wants to come play? Come on up. You don't have to have a pen, use your fingers for this. Yeah. If you haven't played yet, come to the board. What's your name again? Right, you didn't get a chance to try this yet, did you? Come on up.
Like children's games?
You can use your fingers or a pen, whatever you like.
I don't, because I have children.
Now, I'm not gonna explain the rules.
Like I'm 6 old.
Don't worry about that stuff right now, just play the game.
Okay, what are we doing? Hold on.
I broke it already.
Drag the
Are we
things
talking-
over to.
So is it off a little bit? It does look like it's off a little bit.
Oh, fruits and vegetables, oh, okay.
Are we talking about government or science?
I'm sorry?
Is it government or science, fruits and vegetables?
Oh, we're talking about, government, unfortunately. Yeah, I know. It drives me nuts too. See what happens if you get one wrong. Yep. So,
Does that mean the bees get really angry?
You're eventually gonna get
be
everything.
careful. This is
It gets a
obviously a
lot
more
less fun.
elementary activity, but it's really sorting, right? This could be a good bell ringer or something like that. You can make this in just a few minutes.
Wait, so you made this?
Vocabulary, like
Mhm.
our
Like a
Spanish.
template, I guess?
Oh, yeah. That's a really good idea.
So did you make this little thing?
Yep, and it was really quick and easy to make. We're gonna make one together right now. So this can be a station in your classroom. Instead of having me stand up here and present this to you, this is one activity in the midst of many activities. Now, here we're doing something very basic, but hey, this could be eukaryotes and prokaryotes in biology class, organic compounds and non-organic compounds, inorganic compounds in chemistry. It can be forms of government and, I don't know, forms of dictatorship. I guess that is a form of government. Anytime you're differentiating between things. Let's go a little bit under the hood here and take a look at how to make one of these. So I'm gonna make one right now. I'm just gonna create a new slide. And you're gonna look for the little dude icon. And if you have Smart Notebook open on your computer right now, go ahead.
Wait, is this under the Epson or under Smart?
Smart Notebook.
Smart notebook.
Mhm. You're gonna look for a little alien guy. Click the alien guy, and that is Smart Lab, which will load, I guess, in a second. There he goes. Smart Lab comes with your subscription. The first time you open it, it'll want to play you a little video that describes how it works. I'm not going to bother with that. The one we're using right now is Super Sort. So I'll make this activity again. Super Sort. So please give me an example of
This one I'm looking
2 categories that I can sort things into. Maybe one that you would actually use in your real class.
at. Oh, they're on the bottom. There you go.
Anyone in here a teacher? Do we have teachers in the room? Great, what's the unit that you're teaching right now?
You don't want mine, bro. Do mitosis and meiosis.
Okay. So the 2 categories are mitosis and meiosis. Is that really what you're teaching right now?
That's what I'm gonna be teaching.
Okay, cool. So I need some things that only apply to mitosis and some things that only apply to meiosis.
One cell division per one, DNA division. Two
So-
cell-
Mitosis is 1 DNA division?
One cell division
Okay.
per one DNA replication, use replication.
Cool.
Meiosis, 2 cell divisions per one DNA replication.
Please spell it.
Cool, any others?
Mitosis, galactomitosis, makes two identical cells,
Meiosis?
makes four genetically different cells.
And let's do one more thing here. I can also add an image. So I need an image of mitosis, which I will happily go to Google and get. Images.google.com. We'll search for mitosis. And so we'll find something
Pink
that,
one there works.
I'm sorry?
The pink one's great up right there.
Oh, this
That
one?
in, yeah, that'd work.
Cool, it's kind of large though, so I wanted to go with one that's a little more square. So this guy looks good, but it says mitosis on it. All right, we'll just do this for, oh, look at this. Cool, it has the phases. I'll save this image as mitosis, I'll put it on my desktop, and now I need one for meiosis. Thank you, by the way, for choosing like a more challenging topic, not something that would be, say, like, you know, polygons versus non-polygons. I mean, you could in the elementary levels, but we're a high school audience. Meiosis.
I think giving you genetic diseases or
Ooh.
bacterial diseases.
You could have given me genetic diseases. God, I hope not. Thank you for the offer. All right, we're just going to choose one so we can move along here. So I'll save this image here, and that'll be meiosis. Okay, cool. I've got a couple images here. So this guy, mitosis. Here's the image that I got. And where is that guy? Here he is, mitosis. And we're looking for meiosis right here. Lovely. Okay, next. I get to choose the theme. Now, the most boring theme is the just basic gray one, but one of my favorites happens to be pirates. So I'm going to choose pirates because it's fun. And I'll choose finish. Ready to play? Leaving the sound on. Hey, the sound's on. Who wants to come play? Come on up. Yeah, come on up. Do you want to come play?
No, I'm actually working on one for my home class.
Cool. Okay, I'll get out of your way.
I was following you through that.
I played like Little Rock, and I already played, so.
Can you do it with the finger?
Yep. Try to get one wrong.
I can get one wrong.
And does it keep score somewhere?
Yeah, whichever one floated away got, you know, the worst one. But
But
this
it
isn't.
doesn't keep like a 2 to 2.
No, it does not.
This is the count.
Yeah.
I guess they won.
I guess so.
Yep.
So you say
They
that it
didn't, they
disappeared.
didn't show the sinking and drowning.
No, we didn't.
And people floating away.
Now,
Architects.
ready for some more cool stuff? Here's what you can also do. I'm going to turn off the sound to illustrate some of this. Hello. I think my computer is just being slow. There we go. Okay, cool. All right. Ready for this? You can add some more game-based elements. For instance, over here in the star, I can add a timer. So we can have people compete against themselves. I'll set the timer for, say, 30 seconds and say, can you do it in 30 seconds? Can you do it in 20 seconds? Can you do it in 15? Try to beat your personal best.
So will this show up on like laptops themselves too?
And that's the next part. Got your laptops? Please open a browser tab. I'm gonna click on this part right here. It's that red device. Please go to this website, and when you get there, enter as a guest and type in this code. See what happens.
Said join as a guest.
Yeah, I mean, you can, if you have a login, go ahead, but otherwise just join as a guest, it's easier.
Any of them? Like, hellosmart.com.
HelloSmart.com. And yes, if you want to try this on your phone, it'll work on your phone. If you want to try this on tablet, it'll work on your tablet. I got one connected student.
My whole game I worked on, because it wouldn't let me minimize, I had to exit.
Okay, and then sign
Sign as a
in.
guest.
You can sign in as a guest if you want.
I have choice Google or Microsoft.
So you can just choose guest.
I like Google.
Or you can choose Google if you want.
I don't have an option for yes.
Try, okay, sign in with Google. Okay, now, are you able to play yet or not yet?
Said waiting for teacher.
Yep. VHS, huh? Who's VHS?
Wonder.
All right, I take it back. Look, I have a lot of VHSs I treasure. I have a Weird Al. I have a copy of Weird Al's great movie UHF on VHS.
Who's Weird Al?
Weird Al Yankovic, the parody person. No, that makes me sad. It's okay. I actually do. My bar mitzvah is on VHS in my house right now, so I take it back. I own a VHS machine.
Edit class.
All right. I'm going to click on start from my end here. That's okay. Start new activity. Okay. What's happening on your computers now?
Loading.
Now we get to shoot each other.
Same thing as when
So you should all be able to individually play on your computers, right? Cool. You are. And what it's doing is it's keeping track of the results. But I can also, at the same time, have people up at the board here playing like this. And still play this way.
It doesn't update on my screen.
No, it doesn't, because this is another screen.
So it's individualized.
Exactly. So what I'm saying to you is you have options. You could have some students playing on their own. You could have a couple students who say, Mr. Kaplan, can we do this together? Sure, come on up. The students who have mobility issues and have trouble controlling the mouse on their screen, on their computer, can come up here and play together.
Yes. We had a number, but it's 23750.
Good.
Let's, Excel.
But as the teacher, I still have control over everything. So I can click on end right now, or pause. What happened when I clicked on pause?
Screen changed workspace of teachers isn't running the activity now.
Got it. Okay, and then I can resume it as well. And you should all be able to do that. So the teacher has the control to stop everybody and say, okay, I need all your attention, or we're moving on. When I click on end, it should end the activity for everybody. Did it?
Yes.
Cool. So this works on any device which has a browser, which is any device. So I know you have your BYOD policy. Your students, if they're allowed to bring their phones and connect, they can. They don't have to be on the school's network to do it or anything like that, which removes a lot of barriers. Now, there's one other solution that I want to try out with you as well. There's a lot more in terms of activities here. One of them is a quiz. Nope, that's a Smart Lab activity. Find quiz activity. We always put way too much in here. Okay, here we go. We'll reset this activity. And I'll start it. You're all still connected, so you don't have to connect again. And now there's questions on your screen, right?
Okay, so what if you get somebody like me that is in the thing but has never gone to the right space somehow?
You can still connect.
Alright,
So you can still go to,
This is what I get into this thing every time.
I
It sends me to this.
I understand what happens here. So you have connected as a teacher to your own Smart Online Learning Suite. Let's go to a new tab and choose hellosmart.com.
Alright, I did that. Do it again.
Great. Now, you're going to join us a guest.
So it went in as
Join as a guest.
defaulted me as a 2, 3.
Oh, 2730.
It's still on the board. 23750.
What is it?
It's small, but it's there. 237.
750.
So my percentage just went down of completion from 86 to 75%. And that's because Susie just joined. So this tells me who's done and maybe who's having trouble here. This does not show the scores on the board. Those of you who used to use the clickers, remember the Smart Response clickers? They would often show the results on the board, which I don't like because no one should see each other's scores. This just tells me progress. So Lumpy is on question 1. Lumpy has been on question 1 for a while, so I'm gonna go talk to Lumpy. Who's Lumpy, by the way? Who chose that name?
I clicked it and it's just hung up.
You got it. That allows me to help him. Susie, you rocketed through those questions. Okay, so let's find out what happens when I click. Lumpy, do you want to answer that last question for me?
I'm trying to go get my screen now, it's hard.
Doesn't want to get it wrong. I'm gonna click on end.
Okay, just guessing.
Okay. When I click on end, what happens on your screen?
Time to review.
Okay, what do you see? It just says time to review?
Well, now then it gets flipped to the questions.
So again, the individual results show on your screen, but I don't see the students on here. And you can each review your results.
Is that telling you who got it right or wrong?
It tells me how many people got it right and wrong. This is excellent data collection for me because then I can say like, oh my God, like 90% of my students got this one wrong. I need to go over this material. But what's also great about this is, let's say I do this at the beginning of the unit, before I do any teaching. Then I can say, oh wait, everyone kind of knows this. I could probably skip this material. And if there's a few students who don't know it, I know who they are. I can go ahead and talk to just those students or give them just the remedial thing. That's individualized instruction. So you wouldn't expect that to be coming out of a projector, but it's built into this software. You might as well use it. And no one buys those cases of clickers anymore. I used to buy them.
Where did you make this? Was this under the alien guy too?
Yeah, it's also under the alien guy. So let's make one right now. I'll create a new slide. Actually, wait, I think it's the check mark. It's the check mark, sorry, next to the alien guy. This is called Smart Response 2. You choose the type of question that you want. So let's go with a simple true or false question.
It's asking me to sign in for free or sign in.
You'll have to sign in, so you should sign in with your school account.
Should I click sign up for free or sign in?
Sign in, though, sign in
Sign
with your
in.
Google account.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
what I'm good at, I did that 3 times.
Exactly right. So you're the expert, we're gonna go to you.
Well, there's my expertise quiz.
Well, it's, you didn't send it to us, so you're making it smart.
Yep, so I'll make one, you can make one along with me in Smart Notebook. And enter a question, and you can even add an image. So let's see, question. It's a true or false question. Altus is a type of cloud.
Which one do we have to go to?
True or false?
Started.
This is false. You don't add the question.
That was one I clicked on.
Let's see, multiple choice. Which type of precipitation hits the ground as a solid? So we're gonna have rain. We'll have sleet. We'll have rain, and we'll have fog. Correct answer is sleet.
They used to be a lot. So where do you find the smart lab on the smart technologies?
Smart lab
It's
is.
only with that funky looking guy, okay.
Mm-hmm, that's the funky looking dude. He's in there.
Okay, and then the puzzle piece next to it?
This is add-ons.
So if you wanna do graphs and different things,
Exactly, that's in here as well.
okay.
Oh, GeoGebra's in there. That's cool. I didn't realize they added GeoGebra. Nice. I probably shouldn't have done on that screen.
Okay, so that's where like I'll be making algebra type things, that's
Mhm.
cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know the algebra teachers use this quite a bit.
Yeah, it's quite good. And math teachers usually have the hardest time integrating technology in their classrooms for a couple reasons. One, drawing isn't that great, and it's an important part of math. And the other one is trying to type math equations on a keyboard is like a nightmare.
Right.
So this is usually something that helps them out a lot. You can select the symbols you need and add them in. It's pretty good.
Can you go back to the little goofy dude?
The goofy dude, Smart Lab.
Smart lab, okay.
Yep, let me get rid of the thing that I just added, because I now added things all on top of each other. Making life harder than it needs to be. Let's go
Now,
delete.
does this record like, into your, does this move like into your Google Classroom? Can you set this up in Google Classroom and things like that?
There
Or is it
used to
really
be a connection to Google Classroom, but Smart found that people were not using it, so they discontinued that. Yep. Now, you can export the results of a quiz, and you could upload that to Google Classroom or your SIS. What do you use for an SIS here? Student Information System.
Skyward.
Skyward, that's one I'm not familiar with, but most of them have that similar functionality where you can upload things. So in here,
So in this, it would be just, what about that?
Got all the answers right?
here we click save.
Progress, okay.
Not saved content. Where is that saved thing? I forget where it is. Export results. Woo! So you can at least export these results as a Excel file, which will work in Google Sheets or anything like that as well. And then I'll go and open that guy up. Excuse me, XLS is an Excel file, and I'm pretty sure I have Excel on this computer. I don't have Excel on this computer? That's crazy. Okay, well, we'll do this. We'll go into my little folder here. And we'll just put it in Google Drive and open it up. No big deal. This network is so strange. I feel like it has bursts of speed and then stops. Is that normal? Or is it just my computer that's messed up? Normal?
I would say your computer's fine.
Okay.
Cindy, which network are you on?
I usually, if it's
SFS.
any, like, I have to shut down, turn off Wi-Fi when I come into the Springfield area in order to get anywhere on my phone.
Interesting. Okay.
So I don't know if anyone knows.
So let's.
It's better this year, like I can actually get texts in my classroom, I couldn't last year if it wasn't an iMessage, because I have no Windows.
This is the guest account that we
Yeah.
created, but I created your account.
It's you? So should I blame you for this? Okay. Hey, Lumpy! Here's the results, and you can upload this to an SIS or type it in or do whatever you want with it. So it's pretty robust, honestly, and it's a big improvement over the old systems which used clickers because you had to register everyone, you had to have a receiver connected to your computer, and blah, blah, blah. This goes over the internet, you can use any device, they can use their phones to take a quick quiz, and then the info's here and you have the grades. Done. That's why it's easy. That's Smart Response 2. So we've done Smart Lab and Smart Response 2, and we have a little bit of time left, so you want to do some Smart Learning Online Suite? Do a little bit of time for that. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Let's do that. All right, cool. I don't know why. Sometimes it's Chrome that does this. I'm not blaming Epson for this. With Chrome, even when I touch my computer screen, for some reason these buttons aren't working. I don't know why. Drives me crazy. All right, here in Smart Notebook, have you already signed in? Did it ask you to sign in at some point?
Yeah.
If you did, you signed in with your school account. And what's cool about that is you can start saving these things to the online portal. And when we go to the online portal, these things will be saved online so that you can access them from any web page, and you can have your students do the same. To do this, to make this happen, there are two ways to do it. One is I can go to suite.smarttech.com and drag my content in. But what you can also do is go to the share button, and that'll do it easily. So click on share, and it'll save it. And what's actually happened right now is, yep, if I click share using a link, the file gets uploaded to my online suite. So this is the way to do it without having to go online and drag the file in. Would you like to see that again? Okay. You'll click on File. You'll click on Share. You'll click on Share using a link. This file will then be uploaded to your online space. Next, I'm going to show you where to go to use that thing. So, were you able to do it? If not, this is probably, it will ask you to sign in case you're not at this point. Okay. One of the major restrictions of using Smart Notebook has traditionally been that you have to have the software installed on your computer to use any of the activities. But with the addition of Smart Online Suite, you can now access and use any of these things in any device where you have a browser. You still have to make them in Smart Notebook, but you can access and use them. So let's all go to that website I mentioned earlier. It is suite, S-U-I-T-E, .smarttech.com. Follow my own advice and put the pens back when I'm not using them. And look, I was looking for that thing. Oh, by the way, a lot of schools with their remote controls, they'll put Velcro on the back right here, and that way they can Velcro it right to the side right here. So here I am, I'm gonna sign in. And if you haven't already signed in, go ahead. It'll ask you if you want to sign in with Microsoft or with Google. Those are your only choices. You're a Google district, so choose Google. For me, I'm already signed in. That's why it's asking me again. And you should see your presentation here. You should see your notebook file. Do you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Great, so click on it to open it. You'll notice you have start or edit. You can do some editing in here. It's not gonna be as robust as the software, but click on start just to see how this works. And you should notice that this is pretty good. I mean, it's pretty close. This is all happening in the browser, so I can run this like any presentation. Right now I'm touching things and moving them around. I'm on touch over here. If I wish to draw, I can click on the draw button, and now I can draw. And eraser is here. Again, it's not very robust. It's just kind of for basic stuff. But here's where the magic comes in. Would you open another tab, please, so you can all connect to my classroom here? And I'll put up the code on the board. I touched the two-person icon here, and so I think you're already connected, actually, probably. It's the same code as before, but if you're not, here it is again, so you can connect. Everyone's joining. Two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Cool. Is that everyone? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more person. There we go. That's everybody. Okay, so welcome to my classroom. I've turned the lesson pacing on teacher. What this means is if I touch over here, everyone is forced to be on this side right here, right? So you're all looking at that slide right now. You can't move to another slide. I do that. You've all gone to the next slide, correct? So I choose the activities. If I go to this two-person thing, I can also put us on student mode. Do you just get a message on your screen?
Mm-hmm.
You can now go to any slide you want and go anywhere. So it's up to me what kind of pacing I want and what kind of control I want to give you. Now, we will try something kind of fun here. I'm going to create a new page, a new blank page, and I'm going to call this blank page, I don't know, ideas for, let's say, field trips. Ideas for field trips. And now I want to open this up to everybody in here. on the two people page, this is where you're gonna go a lot of the time. I'll click on collaborative workspace activity. This is still in beta mode, but I think it's working pretty well. So I'm gonna make everyone go to this page by going back to teacher mode. I will decide that I don't want teams. Everyone's on one team. So we're all gonna write in the same space. And you're all able to write now. So go ahead, you can choose the text icon in order to type, or you can choose the finger icon to try to write. You could try it with your mouse. But again, this also works on phones, so you could write. Take a look at the board when you write something and see how quickly it shows up. I think it's pretty responsive.
Someone erased mine.
Yep, I noticed. And that happens when we're all working together. So this is a good way for us to all learn how to do that.
Somebody probably erased it.
This is goodness.
Please write your field trip ideas on the board or on the screen.
How do you get it together?
Collaborative workspace activity. I know we're just playing right now, and I don't think prison is a really good idea. Although actually in my criminal justice class when I was in high school, we took a trip to Rahway State Prison and met with the lifers. It was a pretty amazing experience.
I just took my business off to prison last week.
Fascinating. Let's go. Just for fun, or you? What
It's
was
in our
the
criminal law chapter, just to show them like the punishment. We just go to the correctional facility, like the local, not the state.
That's amazing that you can do that, because a lot of these places are closing themselves off, so I'm glad you have that relationship. It's hard to get into those programs anymore. Anyway, I would love to go to the moon, and the Franklin is great. I gotta get back there. I haven't been there in years. Anyway, St. Lucia is terrific. When we're done here, again with this activity, this is open right now. So it's always going to be collaborative like that. If I want you to stop writing, I'll just simply go to another slide. And there, you should be starting the Beehive activity again. So Smart Learning Online Suite, it really removes a big barrier where we would have to install Smart Notebook on every device. Now the kids don't really need that. You can pull out their phone for a quick activity in the classroom, or hey, the one kid who's home with pink eye, can't come to school that day, but still good enough to work, can log on at the same time and still kind of be involved in the lesson. This is not a comprehensive training on Smart, but these are the newest features in there. Anyone have any questions about that?
Are we able to get that in your PowerPoint so that we can look at all the stuff?
This is not in the PowerPoint. This is just kind of an exploration. I'm not sure.
No, I thought didn't you have a whole smart slideshow?
Oh, yeah, that's a Smart Notebook file, but it's nothing really fancy. It's just a bunch of sample activities that we made. I would not consider them to be high quality. You would probably be able to.
There are some in the Smart Notebook when you open it up, right?
Yeah, actually in this one,
Right.
it's still in there, but yeah. Chrome, you've been giving me trouble lately. I blame you, Chrome. You're not touch friendly lately. That was in this notebook here, but
Right.
all of these activities, you can make them in like 3 or 4 minutes. They're all the same. I mean, most of them are that Smart Lab activity. So there's really nothing fancy in here. I mean, this is a labeling activity, labeling the bones. And again, it's just one of those Smart Lab activities. Touch it, and it's the rib cage. So it's really reveal. I think you're going to be fine making these on your own, so I don't feel like I want to send you like this 20 megabyte file for no reason. But that's really it.
Attention students, any student that is staying, please report to the cafeteria now.
So there's just one more thing I need you to do, and that is to please take the workshop evaluation. And here's where you find it. Do you still have the original presentation open? Still have this open?
Yes.
Okay, please go to slide number 22. Slide number 22 has a link to the workshop evaluation. So if you,
called Power Up Learning.
yes, that's the name of this workshop, Power Up Learning. And by the way, just so you know, you still have access to this, so maybe bookmark this presentation, because on slide 23, there's some helpful resources you can click on, like a getting started guide and some support videos, etc. Okay? And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me out, and thank you for also being adventurous like I asked you to and trying new features. It's the best way to learn. Jessica, is it okay if I leave this hooked up like this? This next one is at 12, right? Perfect, thank you. This guy has enough power. Soup.
Yes, we can. We're gonna run, hour after school sessions, so 1 hour, at 40 minutes. You can earn up to 5, so you get 1 for attending the workshop. It's not planned yet. We can talk
Bye, tech people.
And the only thing is,
Thanks for joining us.